And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Back for another outstanding edition of the Weighing In podcast. We have the real Punk, Josh Thompson, myself, and Gian, not Dave, Gian on the controls. Because Podcast Dave is on an extended vacation.
Jesus, so
because
long.
Obviously we pay him way too much, and he's got all that time to go party with people. But good for him. I hope he has fun. We got a lot to talk about. We had the last fight of the year for Bellator with Bellator 254, and a changing of the title with Ilima-Lei MacFarlane losing to Juliana Velaquez. We also have to talk about Magomedov. What a demonstration he put on of domination. And then we had an outstanding UFC pay-per-view. I always worry with the pay-per-views because you're paying for it. So if it sucks, then you got ripped. But you did not. It was fantastic. Just about every fight delivered. And the main event was fucking fire. So that was incredible. And it ended. Oh, it's always the ones that are freaking phenomenal that end in a draw, and I called it. Boom.
Yes, you did.
So, how you doing, Bubba?
John always liking to toot his own horn. Jeez.
No, not tooting, not tooting.
It was
just
good. It was
absolutely fucking Count Basie blasting that sumbitch.
Oh man. What do you want to talk first? You want to talk Bellator?
I want to talk about, have you survived the Packy Chip Challenge?
Yeah, I got through it that night. The next day, I had a little fire coming through, but it wasn't
that's a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah, that shit. It wasn't
Burning Ring of Fire.
That shit wasn't as hot as I thought it was gonna be. But the chip itself that night was good. It sucked for a while. What it was, like I said, I went through the hot mouths part twice. And you went through it once. That was the shittiest part of it all.
That is not fair.
Yeah, that's what sucked. Like I was trying to explain, I purposely tried to avoid the chip touching my lips when I put it in the first time. Then when I threw it up an hour later on the show, when I threw it up, it touched my lips, and my lips for like another 30 minutes after kind of swelled up a little bit, and I had like the burning on the inside and the sides there. Oh, it fucking hurts so bad. You know, like when like your lips get chapped and they crack on the edges. That's how it felt the whole time. My lips kind of swelled too. I look like fucking some of these actresses with Botox. It was all fucked up.
So it was basically
Courtney Cox,
the 2-chip challenge for you, right?
Yeah, it was the double chip challenge, man. Man, but
that was good. You know what? You're a good sport. You went through it. It was fun. So
now the next challenge will be Josh's challenge.
With something else. There you go. The next challenge is yours.
My challenge is going to be something fun, though, not fucking not fucking torturing myself.
Sticking a damn torch in your mouth.
Yeah, it was horrible. Oh, man. Hey, we got a lot of news to talk about. There's tons of things to talk about. Dana White and the COVID testing costing $17 million. Some of the responses from people like Nate Quarry and Leslie Smith. And, what else, John? There was some other stuff that we had talked about as well. I mean, shit, Kevin Holland tonight looked fucking phenomenal. Let's just jump right into the UFC. Let's jump right into the UFC because it's fresh on our minds. And
let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
Let's go from the first fight up.
Yes.
Yeah. So Chase Hooper was the first fight against Peter Barrett from Sityodtong back in Massachusetts, and I'll give Chase Hooper a ton of credit. The kid he's a tough kid. But if I was, in his manager or his trainer, I wouldn't let him fight for a while.
I was just about to say that.
Got to get better in the stand-up. He is a one-dimensional fighter right now. This is not a one-dimensional fighter sport that does well. You've got to be good everywhere. He's not good at takedowns. They're limited. His submission game is fantastic, and his stand-up game is fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he's 21 years old, so I understand, but he has got to learn how to throw a variety of kicks. He's throwing side kicks and things, but most of that was to keep someone off of him for a little bit. I just look and say, man, this kid, he needs to get in the gym and have someone teach him how to properly utilize that huge length he has, in that class, because he's going to get guys that are just going to beat him up that he cannot take down. Nothing against, I want to say Barrett, but he fell into an Imanari roll twice. Mm-hmm. Okay. I can understand you getting caught by an Imanari roll. It happens. Okay. Not the second time.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Okay. It should never happen the second time in the fight. And it did. And again, great job by, Chase Hooper to pull out the win, but damn, he needs to spend time working on the other aspects of the game besides the submission, because he's good and he can beat people, but he's not beating, the names of that, weight class. He's not beating the upper levels. He's beating the lower levels and barely getting by, because Barrett was winning that fight. So, he needs to spend some time in the gym learning.
Yeah, I tip my hat to him for pulling it through, but I agree with you 100%. He shouldn't even be on the roster. Unfortunately, he shouldn't be on the roster. As much as I say he got the win tonight, but he shouldn't be there. He is, like you said, extremely one-dimensional. He's still a kid. You can tell
he's limited.
He has not, it almost seems, and please, Chase Hooper, don't take this the wrong way. I feel like when I look at you, you haven't hit puberty yet. It comes down to you physically do not look strong. I don't think you are physically strong. You have not learned to stand up and how to use it. A guy of his length, his size, all those things, he's got to be looking at guys that fight the way that he should be fighting. A Semi-Schilt. What's the other one? Stefan Struve. Yeah, like you've got to be looking at guys like that. To start thinking about how you can utilize your stand-up without putting yourself in a lot of jeopardy. So people want to take you down. Like, honestly, I think maybe you should even go to one of our guys in not Horiguchi, but he was just supposed to fight this weekend. Oh, fuck. Yamauchi. You've got to go look at Yamauchi. Like, he makes guys take him down because he has an awkward style of stand-up. Your style of stand-up, I don't even know what it is. It's not a style of stand-up.
Not a style.
Don't get me wrong. Look, I tip my hat. Like I said, I tip my hat to you, the fact that you were able to pull it out tonight, but you were getting your ass kicked up until then. And I'm just being 100% upfront and honest.
It goes to show, look, the kid's got to set a ball.
Yes, he does.
No doubt about it, man. And I love the fact that you don't give in. You keep on going after it. And you are phenomenal in your submission game. But, son, you're not going to make it in this sport with that one-dimensional aspect. And it doesn't help you to get beat early on in your career because you are one-dimensional. So take away that one, and you can UFC. They'll hold on.
They would love to hold on to you. If you showed tonight that that you are someone that can fight through adversity, they'd be like, you know what? Give you 6 months, 8 months to go hone your skills a little bit. For sure. We don't want to let you go at 21 years old. Hell no. Have you not seen what they're doing? They're getting rid of all the fucking fat, and the fat is old people. That's what they're doing. They're trying to build the young stars.
Hey, watch the old people.
Hey, I'm one of them. I'm one of them. So, that they know what they're doing. The UFC knows what they're doing. Bellator's been doing it for a while in terms of trying to build up their younger roster as well. UFC is making that. That's what's going on right now with the COVID situation. There's no fans to pay the big stars. And what they're doing is they're getting rid of all the excess fat. And the excess fat is old people, which we'll get into later because you and I have kind of a similar view that you have brought up. And I was like, you know what? I could see that happening. We'll talk about that. Chase Hooper, I think that he needs to go and take 6 to 8 months, 9 months and develop a little bit of muscle and develop some stand-up. Get yourself, and develop a style that is something that fits your body length and your reach, your range, and all those things, because that is something that's going to make people want to get in close to you, which makes it easier for you to clinch them and take them down. So I agree with you 100%. Peter Barrett he blew it, man. He was winning the fight. He was dominating the fight. Shit like that happens, but it shouldn't have happened to you, like you said, twice where you got hit with them in our roll. Come on, son. Come on. So, my MMA crush is Tisa Torres, and so I like to throw that out there.
She's a sweetheart.
She's a sweetheart. She's a little savage, man, and she came out tonight. I love her sense of confidence. The Angela Hill fight sucks that fight didn't happen because I wanted to see that fight, of course. But this is what the top level of girls at that way, or any fighter, when you're a top level fighter, you should be dispatching of the ones that get put in there like that, and she did exactly that. Great performance. I was a little suspect on the fact that her corners basically threw in the towel. I think they knew that she wasn't going to have much after that. It was kind of smart.
I love DC. DC's making comments like, Dan, the corner said, we're stopping the fight.
It wasn't the ref.
Okay? It wasn't the ref. And
Or the doctor.
The ref brought the doctor to look at her, but the corner stopped the fight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything about her saying, I can't see. She said it to her corner.
Yeah.
She
And
didn't
hoping
say it
that
to
the
the doctor.
corner would say, okay, can you work through it? Didn't even say that. Nope, she
Yeah.
can't fight.
Yeah, she can't fight. She's done.
Fuck.
Actually has her turn around and look at the other trainer on the
Yeah.
outside. And goes, look at her eye, right? She can't. We're done. So,
Like, what
and
are you
then
doing?
that's fine.
Like-
It was only going to get worse.
Yeah, I know, but didn't even
It was
ask
only gonna get worse.
didn't even ask the fighter. If that's my coach, I'm literally telling you I'm done with you. I'm moving on to
Okay.
somebody else. And not look, I'm sure the coach is like looking out for her best interest. But I would have
Yeah.
still went out there and sent her out there first. Hey, let me see what you can give me. Give me 2 minutes.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
What did you see in the first round?
I mean, you know.
No. What did you see? No.
I didn't see much. I didn't see much.
From her, you did.
Yeah, I didn't see much. Yeah.
Tisha was
on
lighting her
point.
up.
Yeah, Tisha's
Lighting her up.
Tisha
taking
became-
down everything.
Tisha was the smaller one, but she became the bully. She was just
Oh.
fucking bullying her around. I was
So
like,
now-
"That's
now
my
that-
boo. That's my
Now
boo."
that she's compromised, how is it going to get better? It's
Oh
not
shit!
better. And it was a last minute fight for her. She walked in there. She gave it her best. Hey, get her out of there. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the loss isn't going to matter. So
Yeah. Tisha looked good. I think she, obviously she was
Really
definitely
good.
prepared for the Angela Hill fight, and this was and nothing against Sam, but it was a step down in competition.
sure it was.
So
Yeah.
the
Gavin Tucker against Billy Quarantillo, who I really like.
Yep.
I told you, I said Gavin Tucker's going to be it.
Yeah. Billy had his moments. It just was never enough. It was a good fight though. It was a good, but he was always a step behind. Just didn't have enough power. Gavin was touching him left and right.
He met a guy who
Yep.
technically could take pressure
Yeah.
and deliver strikes that were hurting,
But
that were causing damage.
I don't know what the game plan was. Billy thought that he was going to get tired. Was there other footage of him of Gavin getting tired?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
There was.
because I hadn't seen
Yes,
that.
He is trying to remember what fight it was that he got tired in, but it was a tough fight. He was going back and forth, but he got tired. But he's a good technical fighter.
Yeah, he was good.
He's good everywhere.
He was good everywhere. He's on the back.
This is what we're talking about. Oh yeah, his grappling's outstanding. His stand up is sharp. It's crisp. He moves well. Did you see some of the angles he was cutting? I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, dominant performance too.
yeah. Beautiful.
This I don't even know how to say his last name. Fazeev.
Yeah.
Fazeev. He's
However you want to say it. He's good.
He's nasty good. He's nasty good. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. The fight was probably going to end, but it was an early stoppage.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
Yeah. I'll agree with you. But if you watch the way that Moicano fell, when he gets hit, he gets hit with the right and then the left, and you watch his hands are in a position where he's falling back and they're not doing anything to brace his fall. All right, which is telling you he's short-circuited. All right, there's nothing there. He hits the ground and he's still kind of there. And when Fazeev goes and hits him, it wakes him up. And right then the ref is stopping it. So when you're the ref, you're seeing that he's on the ground and he gets hit. There's no response to defend against it all. You're coming in now. He gets hit. You're coming in. You're stopping that second blow, and now he wakes up off of that blow, which is something long ago we used to talk to doctors and they go, "That cannot happen." Bullshit. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
All right. And so once you've made up your mind as the referee, it's made up. You've got to make that choice, and it was the right choice to make when he's making it. But yeah, I could see what you're saying. Once that shot hits, you can look and say, well, Moicano is back, but it was too late.
This is a typical, if you guys are at home listening to this is a typical learning moment for all you fans at home as well. Like, it's a split second for a ref to make a decision. He made the decision at the time and it was the right decision. But by the time the ref got in there, it was the wrong decision. Because Moicano had already grabbed the arms and tried to work his guard and was already trying to attack. Look like he was trying to attack. Now, look, he was still kind of fucked up because he tried to stand up and
it would have gotten ugly. But you would like to give him that chance if he was in that position after he got hit when he was on the ground and actually woke back up. You'd like to give him that chance, but the decision had already been made by the referee and he had to come in. So it's an understandable stoppage. Yeah, if you're going to look at it and say what's perfect, but I can name a ton that are exactly like that, where the referee makes the right decision, and as he's coming in, that last shot hits and it wakes the guy right up, and you go, and everyone's like, oh no, take a look, look at the way he is. There's the decision. Now he gets hit. Now you have the problem.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look about the Patricio Pitbull and Chandler fight. Chandler was knocked the fuck out, and then Patricio hits him 4 more times in the back of the head. He's still out, and then finally he wakes up on the last punch, and the ref had already stopped it. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at that fight.
That's close.
It's close. Cub looked great. He
looked good.
He was taking some nasty leg kicks, though. I was like, ooh.
He was in the beginning. I was like, especially on that bad knee. I'm like, But look, Daniel Pineda's good. Mm-hmm. He's a tough dude. He's been all over the place. He's fought for everyone. He's been in and out of different organizations, but he's a tough dude. He's a good fighter, but I thought that he was trying to knock Cub's block off. He was trying to do big damage to Cub, and it's like, do the damage over time, man. Just touch him.
Have you not seen any of Cub's fights?
Yeah, exactly. That's and that's the whole point. Except for Aldo back when in the WEC, people just didn't put Cub out. I think WEC had Aldo, and he might have had Jens Pulver. I can't remember if he fought Jens, but overall, man, especially in the UFC, he's had some wars, and he does not go away. Mm-mm. You can get submitted. He got submitted by Ortega and stuff but here's a guy, he's going to be there. So just, touch, every now and then if you can load up, but don't load up. And he was out of position on a lot of it, and he started getting tagged with counters, and Cub did a great job of just staying relaxed, fighting through a lot of it, and then opening up when he could. Really did a nice job. It was a big win for him. He looked good. My
take on Daniel Pineda is that he read his own articles, because he came out like he was going to dominate and do this. He had that swagger of cockiness to him, which is fine. I understand. But as the fight, go ahead.
He beat Herbert Burns.
I know.
And there, I'm not saying that's not good.
Herbert's
good. And came out of one.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good fighter. He's got great ground game, but he's limited in the stand up to a point, and that's where you beat him up. And then on the ground, when you're beat up, I don't care who you are, the submissions aren't going to come. Your black belt turns very
quickly
dull and white quickly.
Yes.
That just happens. But I don't care who you beat.
Yeah.
Before, the guy stepping in now is your problem.
Different level.
Yeah.
Not that Herbert's good. I actually enjoy watching his fights. I called 1 or 2 of his fights when I was working for One, doing commentary for them. He's good. He's very talented. He's good. He's obviously comes from a good family who's very talented as well with Gilbert Burns. So he's good. The thing is when you start reading your own press, it starts working against you. And I got that sense of cockiness when he was in there. He just had that smile, that swagger, and there was a lot of like smiling back and forth as Cub had hit him, or he had kicked Cub, and it was just okay. But then as Cub put the more pressure and just stayed composed, being the veteran that he is, you saw Pineda just get a little bit tired, started slowing down. At the end of that first round, it was whoop, whoop. Yeah,
he was also getting hit with some big shots.
Yeah, he was, and that makes you even more tired. So if you guys are at home, watching fights, you're like, how come he's not going? Like, I'm gonna tell you, fucking Gian tonight said that about the fucking main event. I'm like, what do you mean? Why is he not going? He's fucking exhausted. He's been fighting for 20-something minutes. But the same thing happened with Pineda. They were throwing some heavy leather. They were kicking back and forth and throwing and exchanging some big clinches and stuff, some big punches. I mean. And Cub just knows how to just settle himself in those type of situations. He did that multiple
times when he hurt him. Think about when he hurt him in the first round, and he stepped back.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go after him. He was like, you saw him take the breath, and you go, oh, he's just getting a breath, taking his time, going, okay.
That's just the signs of a veteran, man.
I was going to say, that's just a veteran fighter showing he's smart.
Cyril, how do you say his last name? Gain or Gone? Gan?
Well, there's so many people say Gane. But
okay. Look,
Cyril Gane.
A heavyweight like that, who moves like that, it's extremely athletic. I mean, we haven't seen one of those in a long time. I mean, can you tell me one that has looked like that? He reminded me of a young Alistair Overeem. Remember when Alistair was at 205 kind of trying to make that change from 205 to heavyweight. But he was like, kind of reminds me of that. Like they had a different style, but just physically, the physical build of it all. I mean, he reminds me of him. Man,
he's moving around, on his toes.
Yeah,
he's not the typical heavyweight. Heavyweights plod a lot. It's because it takes energy to move. That's what made Muhammad Ali so unusual. Is always up on the toes. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of conditioning to be able to do that. He was moving around really pretty light on his feet, moving around, taking, trying to create good angles. So he's fun to watch.
Yeah, never mind. I take that back. You know who else kind of reminded me of that? And then he hurt his knee was the big goofy guy that's married to Rhonda now. Travis Brown.
Travis Brown?
Didn't he fight like that for a while, try to be Dominic Cruz, fucked up his knee one time?
Yeah.
Yeah, bouncing around. But yeah, I mean, like, he kind of reminds me, like, I'm not the physical look of it, but, the way he was moving tonight, he moved very well for
Travis Brown makes up 2 Dominics.
2, at least 2.
Both in height and weight.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, look, we're going to get into this conversation a little bit later, but,
Junior?
Junior and fucking Jacare.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Kevin Holland tonight.
God damn.
The hype is real, son. The hype is real. This guy is fucking real. He is good. I was like, oh, wow, he got taken down. This fucking fight is going to be over. Oh, no.
Dude, you could hear the elbows bouncing off of the dome of Jacare. It was like, oh, that hurts. That hurts. Yeah, he's got to stop that. And it really didn't stop. And it was like, I enjoy him. I think he's fucking fun. He's, he could talk all he wants because he does talk, but hey, if you can back it up, keep talking.
Yeah, it was
5 wins this year alone.
Yeah, 5 wins.
Yeah.
That guy's made some money.
And he wants to fight next week.
Yeah, I know. The problem is though, I don't think he's ever made this amount of money in his whole life. He doesn't realize that 3/4 of it now is going to go to taxes. It's not good to fight. It's not good to fight that many times if you're making decent money, because then you really 1 or 2 of those fights ends up going all to taxes.
Well, here's the thing that I don't think you even know. Did you know that Kevin Holland fought in Bellator?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah,
but
Bellator.
So did Buckley.
195. Yo, I know that
Joaquin
one. But
Buckley,
Bellator 195 was Kevin Holland. Who did he fight? Shit, I'd have to look it up.
Tegan Dooley?
Tegan.
That would be it. Yep. He won by triangle choke. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. That was in 2018.
Baby.
2018.
Yep. Because it was one of the first. I want to say I'd been commentating like 4 times. And when I saw him, because he then went to the Dana White Contender Series, and then all of a sudden he showed up to fight Thiago Santos, and I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah,
but
it's crazy.
It's fun.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all good. Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that have been through Bellator that we just didn't sign, or we released, or just didn't have interest in at the time. Same thing was, I remember Strikeforce was kind of the same way too. Look with Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler fought in Strikeforce. Cain Velasquez fought in Strikeforce. And then they just never signed him, and they went off and did whatever in another promotion. You can't sign everybody. You don't know what they're going to turn out to be, and that's the problem. So it's good though. It's good for, I think, for everyone, because there's a little bit of talk back and forth, and we had him, we let him go. Same thing can be said for some of the guys in Bellator, or but the UFC, we had him, we let him go. We just signed AJ, and so we're gonna hear that now. Dana already came out and said, "Yeah, I chose to let him go." I mean, we'll get into that. Anyways, Kevin Holland, I thought he looked good. He learned how to use his length and his reach. I thought he looked phenomenal. His takedown defense needs a little bit of work because it was pretty easy for Jacare to get him down, but he is definitely no slouch on the ground. I know he works with Travis Lutter, who is a phenomenal jiu-jitsu guy. He's dedicated to everything he does. Travis Lutter is, when it comes to his jiu-jitsu academy, he looked phenomenal, man. He looked really good.
Travis is not going to hand a black belt with his name on it to anybody that doesn't deserve it.
What I loved, John, is that for a guy who talks all this shit, his post-fight interview was very respectful and very, very clean and good. I was very happy. I was like, it was like all of a sudden I was like, the shit DC was saying about him, and then I've heard some of the stuff he talks, and I was like, oh man, he is mouthy. Like Danny even said, why don't we give Big Mouth a call and see if he takes this fight against Santos?
He took it.
And he took it. But my point is that
says everything.
When he did the interview with him at the end, when I think it was Joe did the interview with him, clean. Just smooth conversation, respectful, very just direct in what he wanted to say. He talked highly of Travis Lutter, talked highly about all the about his opponent. Like he said some good stuff. That's a kid that I could see later on behind the mic.
And he also set up. You know what? I love when he said, to Chimaev, he says, you should go to 170. You could be a champion there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a 180.
You don't want to be.
I love that, dude. I thought it was great, man.
He's like,
oh yeah.
He called him up and said, "Let's fight again next week."
Set that trap.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah, that's a good fight. I would love to see that fight. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Chimaev to be like, okay, maybe that would be. I guess for me, I haven't seen enough to say that'd be a good fight. But it would be fun. Just I think the lead up to it would be awesome.
Well, didn't Kevin Holland also fight Mershart?
He beat Buckley.
I know he beat Buckley, but Buckley. I think he beat Mershart, I think, before fighting Buckley and before Chimaev beat Mershart.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he beat him on 2019.
Yeah, he beat him, and then what's his name?
Beat him by
what?
Right
after, right?
Beat him by what?
Split decision.
Oh.
That's on the Barboza versus Gaethje card.
Yeah, I think his confidence is so high right now. He didn't look like I'm trying to recall that fight, but he didn't look like that. Like he did tonight, he looked good. He's working on a takedown defense though. Let's get right. Mackenzie Dern.
Come on, Mackenzie Dern. That was a good fight.
It was good. It was close.
She was throwing down, man. If you go back and you remember watching Mackenzie, when she first came into MMA, first off, she was just doing anything she could to keep from being hit. And her stand-up was horrible.
Shouldn't everybody be doing that, just to be honest?
But not in that fashion. Gotcha. You do it in a smart fashion that you can hit back. But, I mean, she's really learned, man. You can tell she takes instruction and turns it into something that she can do well. Take a look at her jiu-jitsu. It's phenomenal. Yeah. But Jandiroba, she was game. She was going after. She was throwing everything she had. The kick that ended up being a knee that broke her nose was nice. But Mackenzie, she lost that second round, but came back in the third round with big shots. And it was a well earned victory.
I think
give her credit, man.
It was a close third round. Also,
it was.
It was
really close.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the other girl won either.
No.
So it was a good fight. It was a good exchanges back and forth. I had Mackenzie win in the first. Perillo's done a good job with her.
Won in the first and the third.
What I liked was Perillo had yelled at her. I think at the end of the second or end of the third. I can't remember. He said she was getting hit with the jab, and she kept throwing the jab. So they were like just exchanging jabs together. And he yells, "Throw the right hand!" And she threw a rocket of a right hand. Right as soon as he said it, she threw it next. And it landed clean and kind of set the other girl back on her heels. And I feel like that was one of the leading moments that won her. I think it was the third round, the beginning of the third round.
Also, when he told her to open her eyes.
What a jerk. What a jerk.
Come on, man.
Oh, man.
Because you see it all the time with people. When there's not, real comfortable to striking, they'll grimace down and they'll start to, and you go, don't close your eyes. God damn it.
It's not even just the closing the eyes, putting your head down and looking at the floor.
Yep.
That's another thing. Yeah, but I thought her striking's come along a long ways, and Perillo's done a great job with her. Yep. She's left Black House, from what I understand, right? She was with Black House before, so she left Black House, and now she's with Perillo. It sounds like she's with Perillo and Ruka Gym, that kind of in that area there.
But there's a lot of people that go into the Ruka Gym,
Yep. Rockhole's there, Bisping was there, Buchecha's there, some other some other fighters are out there. Oh, Chito Vera, he's there. Yeah. Chito, my man. Yeah,
she also, Chris Cyborg goes in there at times.
Yes, she does.
A lot of different
Well,
people.
the owner of Ruka with Pat Tenori, he's so welcoming to everybody. He makes them all feel at home. They're all good people, man. So when I get down there as much as I can, I try to swing by their warehouse and get a little workout in and and stuff. So good people. What else? Let's see, Mackenzie Dern, and then look,
Let's go into it. Who was go ahead. I just want to hear it.
Look at John trying to toot his own horn again. John trying to toot his own horn again.
We talked before the fight. I told you Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, but on Wednesday I said the same thing. I thought no, I didn't say sorry. I didn't say the same thing. I'm saying that I said the same thing that I said on Wednesday. I thought Tony was going to walk through him. Not walk through him, but I thought Tony was going to beat him. So I'm going to stick by Tony. I thought my concern is, and I told you I think before the fight tonight, is I said I just don't know if he's going to be the same Tony after the fucking punishment he took against Justin Gaethje. Yeah. Because here's the thing: is once again I speak from experience. I wasn't the same fighter after I fought Tony Ferguson. I just knew already. After I fought Tony, I had never in my whole career taken that amount of damage. I was not, and I was 37 years old at the time. Tony's
Same
what, 36, 37, somewhere in there. Yep. I wish I wasn't the same fighter. Like, I slowed down even in training and sparring, all those things. I wasn't the same fighter. And it's just a shitty situation to be in. You know that it's coming to an end. I think he's probably the reality tonight. It's going to set in. He's going to go home and be like, it's not there. It's not going to be there. I don't think he's not going to win a title anymore. It's done. Don't get me wrong. Charles Oliveira looked like a fucking animal tonight.
Oof.
But Tony didn't have the swagger that the 13-0 or 14-0 Tony Ferguson had, on the win streak of 13, 14 fights in a row. He didn't have that swagger tonight. He was kind of on his heels a little bit more than he should have been, or he has been, and I don't think he's going to be the same fighter anymore. And when you hit that age, it becomes a snowball effect. And it's sad to see because, it's the fight that we're never going to see is him and Khabib, but it's just never going to happen. But that being said, I can't take anything away from Charles Oliveira because I had ruled him out. I was like, no, Tony's going to win this fight. He's going to come back stronger, 37 years old. But the thing is look, the guy that I think has the best chance, and I've said this, is going to be a really good jiu-jitsu guy. And Charles Oliveira is the next level of jiu-jitsu. If they're going to have someone try to fight Khabib, the only guy I think that would, I know, I'm saying this because because of how dominant he was on the ground.
He looked fantastic.
Someone's going to need to be dominant jiu-jitsu guy on the ground and threaten everywhere to beat Khabib. That's it. Nobody on the feet is going to, well, Conor. Yeah, Conor's got good striking, but he's so afraid of the wrestling that it doesn't come out like a normal fight.
Conor knows he cannot win off of his back.
Exactly. And he can't stop the takedown. And he was able to stop one or two in that fight, but he's done the best at stopping the takedown. Oliveira, sure, he wants to stop the takedown, but he doesn't need to stop the takedown. He feels like he's so confident on his back. He showed it tonight. He was cutting through fucking Tony's guard like fucking hot knife through butter. He was in the mount position. That armbar, had there been 2 more seconds at the end of the first, he would have finished him. 2 or 3 more seconds.
It would have dislocated.
Yeah, it would have broken and dislocated.
It stretched that arm to the point of it's just right at popping. And if that arm pops, it's over.
Yep.
All right. People are like, well, if he wants to continue your fight, no. It's over. If something breaks, it dislocates. The referee is calling the fight. You lost. It is over. It doesn't matter if you want to continue on. They're not going to let you. So he was lucky that it was right at the end. And when he put it behind the arm, I was like, oh, it's going to go.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen too many times where as soon as someone actually gets it deep under the arm and they're able to have that extension with their hips and everything, there's just no way.
Yeah.
You can't survive it. The arm's going to go. Luckily, it was right at the point where the time ended up. He had to let go of it. But that was 10-8 round. That arm bar right there that made it a 10-8 easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that point, you could tell the arm was compromised. He couldn't really throw it with anything.
Yeah, he got up like grimacing. The camera was right on his face. He got up grimacing. You're just thinking to yourself, can he throw it? Is it broken? Is it dislocated? Did he stretch it so much that he won't be able to use it? All those things were an option going in the second round. Like, hey, what's going on? So, you could tell he was still working through it at the beginning of the second.
Oh, he was working through it. He's tough.
He is.
Look at Tony is a fucking savage. He is tough as hell. There is no quit in him, obviously. And, He's just fighting guys that now, and it's what I talked to you about. I said, Oliveira's faster. And you know, I hate to say it, man. I usually, being the shithead I am, side with the guy that's faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because speed kills, man, and it's so hard to fight someone who's faster. You have to be technically better and know how to deal with what that guy does. And I looked at the submission wise, and I go, well, Tony's not better than Oliveira submission wise. He catches guys in submissions when he's able to put them in places where they've worked hard and now they're exhausted, and he'll snap on a Darce or something.
Compromising
like
positions, yeah.
Yeah. But if you went, submission for submission, Oliveira's the better submission guy. He's technically the better stand-up guy. Now, Tony does certain things, especially when he closes the space. His elbows inside are outstanding. He throws them, just beautifully. But technically overall, I'm looking at, just the way that Oliveira had pieced up, Kevin Lee.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at what he did on the feet. On the feet now, man, he is technically really good. And so I just looked at it and thought, I think this is going to be a bad fight for Tony.
Well, I had said it a long time ago, and people fucking harped on me. I said, Tony is not physically strong. He's got big hands, good wrist control, all those things, and he scrambles a lot, so it makes it hard to hold him down. But he is not physically strong, and we saw that tonight. Oliveira, to me, doesn't look like he's physically strong. His technique makes him feel like he's stronger than he is. Tony doesn't have that. He's not tight on the technique. He scrambles really well. He creates space. He does crazy things. He rolls underneath really well. He has that Eddie Bravo style of jiu-jitsu with the flexibility, so it's hard to pass the guard. He does all those things. But when you talk about someone who is technically sound, Charles Oliveira is technically sound on the feet. He's technically sound on the ground. He is very good all the way around. And I honestly, if I look through that top 5 weight class, okay, you've got Charles Oliveira now. He just beat Tony Ferguson. Charles Oliveira is going to be probably put in that number 3 spot. We don't even know where Michael Chandler lists and all of that. But you got to be thinking you've got Dustin and Conor. I mean, like, you would probably have Oliveira fight the winner of Dustin and Conor. I just don't think
you have to.
I don't think Conor.
Off of that performance,
I don't think Conor's going to fight him. I think Conor's like, nah, I want a bigger name. It's like Khabib or maybe Gaethje. Like, he's not going to fight him. He's going to be like, I don't care. He's like, I don't think he's going to. He doesn't want anything to do with fighting Charles Oliveira. That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be completely wrong. But I think
I think you're right. I think there's a lot of guys right now that want nothing to do with facing Charles Oliveira, especially after that performance.
Yeah. But I think here's the other thing. Those fighters need to understand that Tony Ferguson is not the same fighter after the Justin Gaethje fight. We saw that tonight. No matter how good Charles Oliveira is, he is good. I'm not saying he's not good. Charles Oliveira is a fucking animal. And I got to tell you, I was the guy saying just a week ago, I was like, he ain't good enough to beat Tony. And I put my foot in my mouth. Just done deal. I thought that we were going to see the old Tony, and we didn't get the old Tony. We got the one that had taken too much abuse in the Justin fight, and now is not the same fighter anymore. And so it's sad to see because, he was here for the whole time for the last 3, 4, 5 years, 4 years, ready to fight Conor McGregor, ready to fight all these guys. He was calling them all out. None of them wanted anything to do with him. None of them. Khabib, just that fight was supposed to happen so many times. It wasn't anyone's one fault.
5
times, and the whole shit fell apart. But to come down to it, Charles Oliveira, if you put him in that mix, he's going to bypass Dan Hooker. He'll jump right into the Tony Ferguson fight. Conor and Dustin will fight. Justin Gaethje will probably drop out of there somewhere because Justin now lost to Dustin. So I don't know how Justin could be above Dustin at the time. So you're kind of in that mix right now where the only other fight outside of fighting Khabib for Charles Oliveira is fighting the winner of the Conor and Dustin fight or fighting Justin Gaethje. And then he gets a title shot after that. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Justin Gaethje fight. But if you look at what happened with Khabib and him, I think something similar is going to happen. So, but you can never count out Justin Gaethje with that fucking power. True. The aggressiveness, the power, just the leg kicks, all that stuff. But Charles is tough. He's really good. Let's get into that main event, man. Do me a favor, Gian.
Damn.
turn the volume down a little bit on both of us or actually leave his on because I talk louder. Turn me down to 7, please. I just feel like it's getting a little staticky sometimes.
That main event was fire.
It was.
It was. Oh, dude. You could see Figueiredo went out there to take off Brandon Moreno's head. And the first time I ever saw Brandon Moreno fight was in The Ultimate Fighter. And I had nothing but good thoughts about, man, this kid's tough. He's not that talented right now, but man, he's tough. Because he went against someone that was, I think they had rated them all, and it was 1 and 16. They had 16 fighters. He was number 16, and he was facing number 1. And he got submitted, but man, he was putting it on number 1 for a while there and doing some really good stuff. So
is number 1 still around?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he's still in there, but a lot of them aren't. But Brandon Moreno has only gotten better. I did his fight when he fought Sergio Pettis. He lost that. That was in Mexico. But man, he put on a hell of a performance. Tough as hell. He is continuing to get better, and you are not going to intimidate that guy. You are not going to make him feel like, oh, I don't want to be in here. He wants to be there, and he wants to punch a hole in your head. And he came close a couple times in that fight. That was a fun fight based upon the goddamn nutsack and fucking heart of Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, he was spectacular tonight.
Yeah.
Everything about him tonight was spectacular. It sucks that it was a draw, but all it is it makes me feel happy that we're going to see it again.
Yeah, I'm like, honestly, that's the way to look at it.
If they don't do an automatic rematch, and here's the other thing, is I think we got the best out of both of them because they just fought a couple weeks ago. That means all they had to do was continue their conditioning, continue their training, and just try to hone in their skills. They probably went and watched some video footage of each other to make sure that they knew exactly who they were fighting. And for the last 3 weeks, that's all they've been doing is focusing on that one person. And they were already in shape. We got a better version of them, I think, because they came off of full camp, got probably 2 or 3 days of rest after basically nothing ever really happened in their fights because they won so quickly.
Both were fast fights.
Both fast fights. And they turned around and fought 3 weeks later and had a great, phenomenal fight. So all they do is just keep in shape and dial in their technique for the person they were going to fight. But Moreno was somebody that, Gian, you remember his name? You want me to spell it for you?
Brandon Moreno.
There you
now
go,
I
buddy.
know who he is.
Good job. Good job, buddy. 3 weeks ago, we were trying to explain to him who he was, and we're talking about him for the 15 minutes before he realized. That's me giving Gian a hard time. Look, everything about him, I thought for sure that Figueiredo was going to not walk through him, but I was like, I'll probably get him out of there by the 3rd. Moreno tonight, no, just Moreno tonight was on fire. Like, even when he landed the hard shots, Figueiredo should have walked through him. He hit him with like 2 more, pop, 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 real quick. I was like, wow, this kid is good. He is so good. He took some big shots, gave it right back, pressed the pace. Gian said something really stupid, like in the 5th round. Like, how come he's not going? He rocked him. I'm like, because he's fucking tired.
He's exhausted.
It's like,
you could take a look at his left arm, man. It's got a giant knob on the freaking forearm. You're going, I don't think it's broken, but I definitely know it's got a hematoma.
Yeah, I was just like, come on, man. What do you mean? God, I wanted to like turn around and just smack him right at the moment. You're that kid on Twitter that thinks he's like just sitting back behind his keyboard. I'm like, what do you? Oh.
Come on, man, I can do it.
Oh Jesus!
But and I'll give it to Figueiredo, man. He came out there head hunting, wanting to put him out real fast, and there was a lot of things that could have gone really bad for him, and he kept sucking it up, man. He kept on showing, you know what, I'm here. I had it 3 rounds to 2 for Figueiredo, and I had it as a draw based upon the point deduction from Jason Herzog. And I want to say that point deduction is absolutely the way it's supposed to be done. When you have a lot of people say, that was the first groin strike. It doesn't matter. Did it alter Brandon Moreno and make it to where Figueiredo actually had an advantage based upon a foul? Yeah. You want to get kicked in the nuts? We'll give you a point. Okay, it sucks. Okay, and so when he takes the point, what he's doing is he's trying to even that playing field back out. Figueiredo has gotten an advantage doing something that was illegal. I'm going to try to even it out. My only way of evening this out in this situation is to take a point. And that's what he did, and it was the right call.
Yeah, I was surprised that he took it, but then I know you and I have had these conversations plenty of times. It was just such direct contact.
Yeah, straight up the middle.
It went straight up the middle. So it landed straight and then lifted as it went up. Like that's if I was to think of it, and he hit him with the ball of his foot. It wasn't like he hit flat-footed and just pushed it in or no, thank you. I don't give a shit. I don't care
the ones that lift are not good.
Yeah, and it went straight in and then lifted up at the same time. I was like, oh God. As soon as it happened, I grabbed my own dick and just walked out of the office watching the fight.
He sounded like you eating the fucking chip. He's
I was like, oh.
Yeah, it was not good. But it was the right thing for Jason Herzog to do it, and I commend him for making that decision. It's not easy to do. I try to tell people all the time, look, when you have something, it doesn't matter that it hasn't happened for you. It's not an automatic warning. You have the right to take a point, and your whole purpose in it is that what is going to help level this out. Does someone get an advantage in this situation? If there's really no advantage, then you don't take the point. If there's a decided advantage that's been gained, you got to do something to try to bring it back.
Yeah, it's then when you hit something that hard, there's for sure an advantage. It's like taking a really hard body shot.
Fuck yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, your wind is gone for at least that round, and it's like anything you move around,
your legs don't move the same.
Yeah, the feeling, it's that feeling of like, ooh, it's a little loose down there.
A little loose because they've been shoved up somewhere about to your hip bone.
Yeah, you're trying to get them to drop back down. Doing the hop. Look, overall though, the card was a good card.
Outstanding.
I thought it was a good card. It didn't seem like there was a lot of name value on it, but this is one of those sneaky good cards. I mean, sure, they had Jacare, they've got Mackenzie Dern. They had some names on there, but I'm saying like, if you went back, you're like, I mean, yes, for me, right? I'm thinking, and I'm getting older. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's like
I'm glad you can admit it.
Yes, I'm saying like, I see Junior on there, I see Jacare on there, I see Tony on there. I see these fighters. These are the people that I'm. Oh man, it's got some good name value. But then I'm thinking to myself like, this is the next gen. Cub Swanson, he's on there. The next generation. This Fazeev guy. And and then Tisha Torres, and you've got Kevin Holland, you've got Mackenzie Dern, you've got Charles Oliveira. I'm like, damn, you know what? They are the next generation. This is the next generation of fighters. And they are fucking good. They are really good. And they're fun. They're having fun. They're out there getting it done. I was impressed, man. We are finally seeing the next changing of the guard. You know what I mean? And it's sad to see, but I think it's time because we need to get the sport needs to be rejuvenated a little bit, I think.
Yep.
And you're seeing it in both promotions, from Bellator to the UFC. You're seeing it right now in both promotions.
Yep.
So good stuff. Let's talk real quick because I actually want to throw this news. Do you want to do this news now or you want to do it later? The 60 fighters that are going to get cut, or do you want to do it later?
No, we can do it now.
Let's do it now.
UFC quick. Stuff. Let's do it.
So the UFC, Dana White comes out and says that they are going to cut another 60 fighters before New Year's. Before the end of the year. Stand by. Yeah. Just in this card tonight, I could probably give you two. And you and I were talking.
I can definitely give you. I'll say probably three.
Three, huh?
Yeah.
Give them to me.
Well,
I know we think alike in this situation, so you go first. You go first.
Well, Junior Dos Santos, I think, is done.
Yes.
It's he's got a fairly hefty price tag, and now he's not even in. He's not even close to your top 10.
No.
Of your heavyweights, even though heavyweights promotions tend to try to hold on to longer because there's just not a lot of them. But it's he was complaining about getting hit to the back of the head and stuff. And you go, Junior, nope. You know, you're the one that's running away. He's throwing an elbow. It hits. Yeah, it actually hits behind your ear. But that's a legal shot.
It's a really awkward moment to bring it up, though, to the fighter at the end. Like, look, dude, I don't have control of stopping the fight. The ref does.
No, yeah.
Like, you don't go to the fighter and say, "Oh,
Cyril
you
Gane had nothing to say with it, man." It's like
there's nothing to say.
No, it's, you know, you look and you go, "What are you doing?" But, you know, hey, it's he's just not performing. He can't perform. You know, he's in there for usually about 2 minutes, and someone's tagging him at that point, and things are not going to go his way. And when you have a hefty price tag that comes with you, you know, and he was the champion, this is what happens. You know, you get in that position where, you know, you're never going to be put in a championship fight situation. That's past, and you're in that position where now it's over.
Yeah.
It's just over. I'm sorry. You know, I loved you as a fighter. I think you're a great guy. You're just not able to perform at that level that they're going to want to pay you what they've been paying you.
I feel the same way about Jacare Souza. Jacare, he will be gone.
Yep.
I think he'll be one of them.
It's over.
He is gone. And you brought up something to me tonight when you said Tony Ferguson. And I was like,
I think they're going to cut him.
I think so too.
You know, and I could be wrong about that, but the reason I look and say it is, first off, Tony has always had a adversarial relationship with certain people with the UFC. You know, he's felt like he's been held back, cheated in certain things, not respected.
He has been.
And so, you know, you have that, but that, you know, that's okay. You can say those things when you're winning. But now you take a look at his last two performances, you know, the Justin Gaethje fight, you know, look, he fought his ass off, but he got beat badly. Mm-hmm. And now this one, he got beat badly. And so now you look at your lightweights and you go, all right, is Tony Ferguson going to be fighting for the title? That ain't going to happen.
Excuse me.
Yeah. You would figure that he would have to win somewhere between 4 or 5 fights in a row against top talent, and that's probably not going to happen. So he's not going to fight for the title. So you're going to keep him for what reasons now? So he can beat your young talent that's not, you know, smart and wise enough to fight with him at this time. You're going to put him against that level of guy. That's not going to do you any good as the promotion. And so I don't know. I just look and say he might be one of the guys in that 60.
Yeah, he might be. I actually, when you brought that up to me tonight, I was like, you know what? I could see that happening. You want to know why? Because they have another guy in Michael Chandler who is not even ranked yet. And you slide him into a spot there. And that division is the most stacked division. Dana just said it again to verify everything I said.
They have so many guys in that division.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Dana's verifying exactly what I've always said, that 155 is the most stacked division in the world. Yes.
No, they just have a lot of guys.
No, that's just the most stacked division in the world.
And that's just a lot of guys.
The best guys. The best guys.
No,
yes,
see, there you go again.
No, they're always the best.
Come on, man.
Look.
Did you see that Brandon Moreno? No, never.
I did, and there's only 2 of them. They'll fight again because they'll just keep running it back between the 2 of them. Nobody else is going to get up there. And not to mention the best 125 pounder in the world is not even in the UFC. He's in 1. So it's like,
I tell you what,
unless Henry goes back to 125, but the 2 of them, that's kind of the match right there. I'd love to see either one of those guys come back and fight either one of these guys. Would be good. Yeah. But look, go back to the card if you can. We both agree on the junior fight. Like, really, what it comes down to, he's pretty much going to be gone. I think, like you said, a hefty price tag. They are hard. Heavyweights are hard to come by. Yeah. But look, there's a lot of young ones that are coming up. You know, and they're just got to spend more time putting some money and effort into promoting them because the heavyweight division has always lacked. And this is when people talk about adding more weight classes. This is why we don't have a 215-pound weight class. We have one, okay, but we don't use them because there's not enough talent. There's not enough talent. You'd be spreading your talent so thin that you barely have enough to actually feed a heavyweight division now. And so that's why. Jacare, at 41 years old, the price tag on him, he's never been UFC champion. He was Strikeforce champion, but never been the UFC champion. It's not there. He's gone. It's over. I just, look, as much as I love watching these guys fight, and the same thing with Tony, as much as I love watching them fight, the bottom line is if you work in a corporation, any corporation, and you're a high executive and shit ain't getting done, you're the first to get cut. That's no different than this person here who has a hefty price tag on his name. Okay. Look, fighters, we put ourselves in this situation. We knew what we signed up for. And at any moment, it could all go. And it's true. It sucks. It's a shitty situation to be in. But we did it because we loved it. We didn't do it because of the end of the rainbow. We thought it was going to be fucking pothole. Like, we thought, like, hey, we have an opportunity, a chance. But it's not guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. And so when I hear some fighters, we'll get into that later with the Dana thing. But these guys, they've had great careers. I don't know what the rest of what is next for them. You know, and I'm not saying that they're going to all three get cut. But I would say the Ovid St. Preux, the Juniors, the Jacques, they may get cut. I think those three, I think, are pretty much on that list. Tony, I could see them potentially giving him one more fight because he is always fun to watch fight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But like you said,
I don't either.
He's getting paid quite a bit of money.
Yep.
You know, and then that's what they're trying to do. What COVID has taught promotions is that people want to see good fights, and they don't care if it's a top-ranked guy. You can get it done as long as the fights are entertaining. You know, and with ESPN guaranteeing them a certain amount of pay-per-view buys, there is no need for them to keep around the excess fat, which is older fighters. And you're going to see it, guys. And I've been saying this forever. One of the biggest reasons, and I look, without sounding like bitter about it, one of the biggest reasons I feel like that there was a couple scenarios and situations. Tony Ferguson was older than Khabib. That's why they tried to make that fight happen a couple of times and never came to fruition. And they just didn't care. They pushed him off to Justin or whoever else they could give him to try and beat Tony. The same thing would be said for Dan Henderson when he was supposed to fight John Jones. They pushed that fight off. They made that because John Jones was 26, 27 at the time. Yep. I'll say the same thing, not trying to sound bitter, but the same shit happened to me. I was 36 years old, supposed to fight Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis was 26 years old, just won the title. And he was, they pulled him off the rack for a year to promote the shit out of him. Never got the title shot. It's smart.
Why you got to look at it. Why does the promotion want a 36, 37-year-old champion instead of a 26, 27-year-old?
100%. And like, I kind of figured and knew that at the time, but it wasn't really had been talked about a whole lot. But this right now is proof that you can see it. It's becoming more evident.
But you also have to, what happened when they signed that deal with ESPN, and then ESPN basically bought their pay-per-views and guaranteed them this specific number, and anything over it, they kept half, and the UFC got half. It's the greatest deal ever. You got to give it to the UFC for being able to make it happen. And if that's, WME, IMG, the people that own the UFC, if they're the ones that created that, it's fantastic. But for the fighters themselves, it's not the greatest because this is exactly what you're talking about. There was a reason why for a long time when Conor would say, I'm retired, and Dana would, be going, and he would, I'm going to be talking to Conor, and he would placate to Conor because he needs him. Conor creates more money for the UFC than any other fighter, and he creates a pay-per-view that helps, their books in the end. Well, when the ESPN came up with the deal that they did for the UFC, it didn't matter about Conor anymore.
It did a little bit. I think
it didn't.
It did a little bit, but then when there's lack of fans, that's when it doesn't matter as much for the Conor.
Well, especially when there's no fans, because when Conor is going to fight, that gate is going to be a huge gate. And now, if you're the UFC, you're not really wanting Conor to fight because you're losing all of that gate money. We're talking, hey, this is in the millions of dollars.
And ESPN doesn't get any of the gate money.
They get none of that. Yep. So all that gate money, you're not going to get. Why do I want to have a guy I'm going to have to pay a lot of money to have fight? Why am I going to have him fight when my pay-per-view is already guaranteed? So, if he gets more money, I'll get more. If he fights, I'll get more, but I'm still going to have to pay.
You're still splitting 50-50.
Yeah. So, the deal worked really well for the company, and for the fighters, you look and you go, well, it took some of your leverage away.
Yeah.
And then COVID comes in, and it definitely takes your leverage away because it's not about putting butts in the seats right now.
Well, the UFC is what they're having to do is they're having to go young because it's a good time for them to restructure all the older talent they have and say, look, we've already got guaranteed money coming in from them for pay-per-views. We can cut the fat, and the fat is old fighters. There's no reason for us to pay you the hefty price tag that you come along with, because ultimately our Contender Series will bring in young talent that will just do what Brandon Moreno did tonight. Will stand in front of his opponent and fucking slug it out. And that right there is what's going to put more people.
That's what people want to see,
TV, and that's what they want to see. And so that was a classic example of younger fighters coming in and doing their job to the point of stealing all the exposure from the older fighters. So why am I paying you $250 or $300 or $400,000 to come in and fight when I'm paying these guys 80 and 80 for $160,000 if they win? It's smart business planning by the UFC. So when I hear other fighters or former fighters talk shit, John, it kind of gets me under my skin. I'm like, you guys fucking knew what you guys signed up for, And so I can roll it into this. Go ahead.
I mean, you got to look at it. It's like I mean, it's for fighters. It's for any athlete. I mean, it's, for fucking commentators, referee. How do you expect this to end?
Yeah.
There's going to come a time when someone says, hey, thank you, but you're done.
Yeah.
It's going to happen to all of you, to me, to you, to everyone. That's just the way it is. So to be shocked by it is like, don't be shocked by something that eventually this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate if it happens, when it's not your call. It's nice when someone says, you know what, I'm done, I'm retiring, because that's your call.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't always work that way. It's true. Sometimes it's somebody else's call.
Yeah. It really just comes down to the fact that there's a lot of former fighters that are talking about this whole thing with the UFC. What was the thing that I sent you?
Oh,
Jesus, Gian.
The Leslie Smith.
Yeah. So read me the Leslie Smith text.
Yeah. So basically, Leslie Smith
or tweet. I mean.
Oh, okay. She says 17 million. All those times they laughed and said they can't pay that much to a fighter, and they can just bust out 17 million when they need it.
All right.
Okay, that's a little short-sighted.
Yeah.
Because if you and I'm just going to say it this way, I love Leslie. She's a good person.
She's a doll. Yeah.
But she is. She tried to do things unionizing fighters and stuff, and God bless her for trying to do that. She's got the Project Spearhead thing going, but the UFC saying that they paid $17 million for COVID testing and things to create situations where they could put on fights. Thank God they did that.
Yeah.
Because that's what allowed fighters to actually make a payday. Because they wouldn't have made a payday if the UFC didn't put out that money for that COVID testing and for all the things they did to create what was hopefully a safe environment for the fighters to be within, because they caught a lot of fighters that did have it, and that would have spread to other people. So it's just a bad way of looking at it.
Yep.
You can't look at that. The organization did what was right for their employees. They did what was right for their contractual, obligations to the fighters, and they did that by spending that money. So I look at it and say, that's not the time to say, oh, they, you act like you have no money. Everyone knows they have money. That's not, that's not in question. What's in question is the percentage of what they make and what they pay out to the fighters. Is it the same as what the Ali Act would do? No, it's not. It's not. But again, nothing's perfect. Eventually things might change. There is that court case going. It just, from what I heard, they just, put that into where it would be a class action. So every fighter, including you, Josh Thompson, could get some money, I guess, if that was important. But, hey, you know what you're getting, and you know where you're going when you step into this.
That's what I don't get, John. I don't get this. All I see is, look, and I like both of these fighters. I like Nate Quarry, and I like Leslie Smith, and I like other fighters that have talked about this. But I think when your Twitter feed, all it is negative shit towards the UFC or towards this, this unionization thing, and even towards politics. it's just a huge, just like, how do you live your life on a daily basis with nothing but negative comments? I don't understand it. And here's the other thing. We all knew. We all knew what we were getting ourselves into. Well, look, and I look at someone like, and I do respect and I appreciate the enthusiasm from like people like Nate Quarry and other people. But the bottom line is when we started this shit, we were making nothing. I paid $25 to fight my first fight. My second fight, I made $150 and I took it on 3 days.
And that was good. That was good money, baby.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, my third fight, I made $300 and I was like stuck at $300 for couple more fights, and they were all short notice fights, and majority of the time you showed up, you weighed in, and they matched you up against somebody that was kind of near your weight. You know what I mean? So, and then sure, it got better as time went on.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. What, like, to go after the UFC and say like they did this and this and this, that was your goal to get to the UFC. Are you suing all the shitty promotions you fought in and got fucked up in beforehand? No, you're not suing those ones. You're only suing the one that has the money. Like, because, and they're the ones that actually made you money, and they're the ones that actually paid you. They're the ones that got you sponsors. Like, if you were fighting in some podunk small show, which you all were before you got to the UFC, they didn't pay you shit. They barely covered your medicals sometimes, if they did. And majority of the time, you didn't get your fight purse. You had to fucking corner the promoter to get your money. That was I remember Bob Cook. Oh, yeah. Bob Cook, I was the main event on a Boise show one time. He walked in. He's like, the crowd looks thin. He walked into the fucking cash register area, opened the cash register himself, took out half of my money out of the cash register. People were like, oh, he's like, don't fucking touch me. Took the money out. He's like, hey, this is his show money, which was at the time was like $1,500. It was another $1,500 to win. That was a lot of money back then. But he saw that the crowd was thin. He knew that the promoter was probably going to take the money and bounce. So he went in there and took my show money to guarantee that I got my show money before I ever got my hands wrapped. Like, that's the type of shit that the fighters were dealing with back then. So that's the kind of
stuff referees deal with. I've done the same thing, man.
That's my point. But here, fighters, we knew before what we were getting ourselves into. Yes. And Nate Quarry is no different than the other guys and the other females that when we were coming up, we would just show up and fight and hope we got paid. We're not suing the class action lawsuit of all the other small podunk promotions you fought in the fairgrounds in the backyard, someone's backyard. You're not suing those people for the shots you took and the damage you took and all the. You're suing the UFC. It just doesn't make sense to me. Look,
it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. I understand why they're like, maybe they want to try to get something, but to go back and say that you want money for what happened back then, it's just, to me, is, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, look, like you said, even though I may get money out of it, I'm not out there going. I'm not shaking my fist going, hoorah. It just, to me, is not, I knew what I was getting myself into. And everyone knows I don't have any, Dana and I don't get it fucking along at all. But I don't have this type of feeling like where I got to chase after him. I'm good friends with John Fitch, and he is this guy. He's Nate Quarry, Leslie Smith. He's the guy that does the same shit. And sure, I like to listen to what he has to say and kind of, but it gets under my skin a little bit because, like, guys, we all knew what the fuck we were doing. We all knew it, you know, and that's the thing that kind of upsets me the most. I'm like, you signed up for it. You signed on the line. Now, when they started trying to take our name rights and all, I was like, okay, that's different. Okay, yes. I get the fight for that. Okay, but we're talking about when it came down to the fight, and these guys have done. I got to tell you, the UFC's done a phenomenal job in terms of, like, they provided that insurance for all the fighters. No other promotion's done that. You know, and like, they've done good things along the way. Don't get me wrong, they've been a little shady here and there. You know what I mean? But it's the end of the day, these fighters, majority of them, let's just be honest, majority of them would be working at fucking, I don't know, Home Depot or something if they didn't have this. I mean, you know, not all of them are going to be Stipes and firefighters, okay, and have a job on the side that's, you know, pays good money. Like, majority of them, they didn't know what to do. They got into fighting because they loved it. They wanted to do it. They didn't have a career path. You know, They didn't know. And so the fact is, majority of them are taking care of their families, you know, and putting food on the table and taking care of their kids and buying a house and living in houses they never thought they were ever. And I'm fucking one of them. So to think of that, and that's the thing, to think of that, like, I really would have joined the military probably. And who knows if I'd still be alive with all of our warmongering presidents. You know, like, that's the point. The point is, I didn't have to go do that because I found something I truly love to do. And it's frustrating. I understand them trying to get this all the act passed, but to turn around and go back for for all the other stuff and want to get paid for what you guys signed on the dotted line to do this. You know, and maybe there's more to this whole thing than I'm overlooking, John, but can you tell me? Am I missing something?
You know, I always want fighters to get paid.
Yes.
I've always been that guy that, hey, I think they deserve a fair pay. You know, but when you sign a contract, no one's forcing you. No one is forcing you to sign that. Now, there are things within it, and I will tell you, I think that the things about them having the rights to your likeness, to your voice, to your image, to your name in perpetuity is absolutely wrong. I think if you're an older fighter and they want to put you in the video game, then they should pay you to put you in the video game just to be able to use you because they have that right because you were going to fight for them and it's in their contract and they won't take it away. That doesn't sit well with me, and I don't think it's right, and I think it's an abuse of power that shouldn't be there. But when it comes to the pay that you got, or to say, well, I think that you should take care of me now that, years later I'm having injury problems and things that came from fighting. Dude, you knew what fighting was going to do to your body. I'm sorry. Everybody, everything that I've ever done, I knew, hey, this is not smart, but I want to do it. Okay. So you do it and then you put up with what, occurs from it. But it's to have someone say something about the $17 million for the COVID stuff, man, like I said, I'll be the first one to say thank you to Bellator, thank you to Viacom, thank you to the UFC, thank you to IMG, whatever it is. Thank you for, putting the money out there to do those tests and to put fights on and to allow me to work and allow fighters to get paid and allow people to have something that they could watch. You know what? Thank you.
Yeah, it's These companies are taking a big risk of putting these events out there because they don't want anything to happen. They don't want anything to happen. They also want to continue their role because if they get too far out from not throwing events, people forget about that sport. Like people have already lost interest in the baseball and the basketball, and they've kind of started losing interest in that stuff. They're like, whatever. And they've gone outside, which is great. I love the fact that people are outside more, hiking, doing whatever, mountain biking's taking off right now. So it's, you know what I mean? But there's outdoor events that people have gone to. They've forgot about what's going on TV. Fighting realistically, honestly, is the only normalcy that's really going on. You've got Bellator throwing fights. We were every week for 4 weeks, 5 weeks in a row. And we just had an event this last weekend. You have the UFC doing every week. They're doing an event
every week.
They're keeping these fighters busy. Kevin Holland's fought 5 times this year.
That's the whole point.
This guy's making so much damn money. He doesn't even know what to fucking do with it right now. I'm sure he'll find something to do with it. But you don't understand what I'm saying.
Smart.
And the $17 million, I don't think people understand that it cost. People think that they just you just put the event on and they don't have to pay for the advertisement, the flyers, the poster boards, the billboards that you're up on to advertise this fight, the commercials, the fact that you're on while live sports is going on, while the basketball NBA playoffs, that's your picture on the fucking thing. If you want to know what, that shit costs money. Costs a lot of money. And for them to have $17 million laying around, you should be thankful to have $17 million laying around because that's how they got COVID testing going on to make sure that we can have fights and all these fighters can get paid. Look, Leslie Smith, I do like you a lot. I think you're an absolute sweetheart. And I've loved every second of conversation I've ever had with you. But this is when I start seeing I don't want to say it's not bitterness. It's just there's just something there. It's not.
Well, I can understand why Leslie would have some, bitterness towards the UFC.
She has a right to.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and when you look at it this is why I say that there's things that, one of the things I didn't bring up before, the contracts, if you sign it for a 6-fight contract, in your mind, you're going to fight 6 times. If they cut you after the first fight and there's 5 fights left, they don't owe you anything.
Nope.
But if you on the 5th fight of that contract say, hey, I can go do a boxing match over here. Or I can go do a kickboxing match, or I can go do an MMA fight. They're gonna let me fight, and you haven't given me anything. Is it okay? They're gonna look at you and go, "No, what are you, nuts?" Because they have the complete control. So that's not fair, and I would like to see that where that was more, siding with the fighter having a fair chance in that, and that's kind of what happened with Leslie. Is she had a fight, the person didn't make weight, it wasn't her fault, and they decided to just pay her. They paid her win bonus, paid her show, paid her the win, but cut her.
Yeah.
When she did nothing wrong other than she was starting to work for getting a union for the fighters.
Yeah.
And they didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Like, you have someone who's trying to bite the hand that's feeding them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But the other thing is, I agree with you on the on the take of these. There does need to be some changes to these contracts. 100% there does. I mean, like you said, when I had signed my contract back in 2001 with them or whatever, every other line had the word in perpetuity.
There
like,
you go.
they owned everything.
Forever.
And you're just thinking to yourself, what the fuck, man? Like, how am I going to get through this? But then once you fight and you get going, like, I give you an example. I fought Rob McCullough in the WFA because I had gotten hurt so many times in the early years. And Joe and for me to fight in the WFA, I was already signed with the UFC. He said, just so you know, if you lose, we're cutting you.
Nice.
And it's like, ugh. But at the time, your whole goal was to be in the UFC, and I was like, it was a chance I had to take because I had no money at the time. I was like, yeah, I need to take this fight because I'd gotten hurt twice and whatever, and I hadn't fought in the UFC yet. And I was like, okay, well, I need this fight. And at the time, right, Rob McCullough was fucking nasty, just nasty good on the feet, had no wrestling. I was like, I got this. I was like, but
I am going to slip, slide, and duck and get in and wrestle.
And wrestle fuck you. And that's what I did. But it was, that's the type of mentality you're dealing with that promotion is that, look, they sign you. You can't go do boxing. You can't do kickboxing. There should be a change in that. You should be able to go fight a kickboxing fight because no one's going to look at the kickboxing fight and say, yeah, but he lost in kickboxing. It's fucking kickboxing. It's not MMA. The fact is look, George St. Pierre was never the best wrestler. He was never the best kickboxer. He was never the best jiu-jitsu guy. But the fact is he was really damn good at all three, and he put them together better than anybody in the sport. And then I give myself as an example. I was never good at all three of them. I was okay, like at all three of them, but I wasn't the best at any of them. And so, like, the way that I put it together is what made me successful. And George just took it to a level of 15 times higher. You know what I mean? And so when you're talking about whether you lost in kickboxing or you lost in a boxing match, who gives a shit? It's not MMA. That's the thing. It's not MMA. And the fact that these fighters are trying to get events like that, and they're trying to fight kickboxing matches or boxing matches, I tip my hat to them because they're putting their work and effort in that sport as well.
And you could be, if I ask most people the question, hey, name me MMA fighters that boxed, they'd be able to say one guy.
Yeah.
And it'd be Connor. That's the only one they would know. And I can name 50 guys that I know are boxing now or have boxed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton, and it's to me, it's something that they should be allowed to do because it's not the sport of MMA. I understand if you have someone under contract for MMA, they shouldn't be able, someone in the UFC should not be able to just walk over to Bellator and do a fight. Shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not good for your promotion.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, should they be able to do a boxing match? Yeah, they should.
Yeah. It's not the same sport. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want in
the
another sport. Yeah. But this, I think also too, if that's the case, when you turn down a fight, then they should be able to extend your contract for the term of their contract. I'm okay with that.
That's okay. That's fair.
If
you turned down a fight, they offered you a fight, you turned it down. Okay, they get to extend it.
Yeah, to me, that's fair. Now, if they're just not offering you a fight, then that's not your problem.
That's different.
Yeah, that's not your problem. So there's a lot of things. Like I said, I like Leslie Smith. I like Nate Quarry a lot. Great guy. Him and I used to fight on some of the circuits way back up in Oregon back in 99, I think, 98, 99. So long time ago.
Boy, you are dating yourself.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm old as fuck. But yeah, but in that list of people that I think are on their way out, You've got Tony on their way out. You've got Jacare on the way out. You've got Dos Santos on his way out. You got Ovis St. Preux. They've already cut Rachel Ostovich.
She's not on her way. She's based upon record.
Yeah, they've cut her. There's a lot more. I just off the top of my head, we haven't had a chance to think about it. But I don't want to put a list together either. But I mean, if we're talking about, just listen to what we're saying. We are saying that if you are older, let's just say you're 35, 36, 37, I think there's a good chance you're going to get cut. If you've lost your last fight, maybe if you've lost 2, I would say almost guaranteed you're going to get cut. If you've lost your last fight and you're 35, 36, I think there's a good chance you're going to get cut.
I think they just released Matt Wyman.
Yeah, we kind of figured. He didn't, the slam, he's taken some damage when he was younger as well. He was off of a 3-year layoff, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. That's we were kind of expecting that to be.
Well, you got to figure out, I did Matt Wyman's first fight in the UFC, which was back at UFC 60 against Spencer Fisher.
Yeah.
Boom. There's some history.
That was a nasty flying knee knockout by Spencer Fisher.
Yeah. Well,
good fight up until that point.
Yeah, he was losing it.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
Matt Wyman was winning that fight at that point, I think.
Matt Wyman was a fucking gamer. He was just
tough.
a gamer.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the Bellator event. We've got some more news to talk about also, but that was kind of all tied in with the UFC stuff, so we got some more news to talk about as well.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, well, the first fight of the night was Billy Goff against Hobson Gracie, and Billy Goff introduced Hobson Gracie to elbows inside. Boy, he ate him up. He ate him up, man. And Hobson Gracie was trying takedowns, hurting, getting worse as the first round went on. Made it through the first round, and when the second round, you could see, man, he walked out, and I said, "Look at his face; it's white."
Yeah,
and you could tell he was gassed, and he was taking big shots. But it was a really good performance by Billy Goff. A guy, he had come in saying he was going to submit him. I was like, is he crazy? But
when it comes to the Gracies, the elephant in the room is that they don't want to fight.
Well, I don't know if that's the truth as far as the statement. The elephant in the room is the name carries an incredible amount of weight.
It does.
And it's something that you, by having that name, now you have an expectation placed upon you that you're this guy that can fight. And not everybody that can do jiu-jitsu can fight. It's just the way it is. There are Gracies out there. I'm going to tell you, we talked about it. There's 2 Gracies out there, right? They can fight. Crone Gracie lost his last fight to Cub Swanson, hasn't fought for a while. But Crone is just a fucking balls deep gamer, tough son of a bitch. He can fight.
Yeah.
And his fucking ground game is sick.
Yep.
And the other guy, he fights for Bellator, Neiman Gracie. Neiman can fight. Yep. He can fight. The stand up now, his ground game is nasty. His leg lock game is freaking now Dan and her death squad good. He is a fucking gamer. He is good and he's dangerous. Those are the guys with that name that I will tell you, those guys can fight. Now, obviously, the old guys, Henzo and Hoyce, have already proved themselves, and Hickson, but they're not fighting. But those 2 guys with that name, they definitely, they uphold the tradition. The problem is everyone else is expected to uphold it in the same manner, and that's not easy.
Yeah, but look, not everyone's a fighter. And that's the part.
Said that.
That's the part I'm just trying to figure out. Like, I with Connery, with Hobson, they're good. They're good people.
Oh, they're great.
They're great people. But you can tell that they don't really seem like they want to fight. They fight. Don't get me wrong. They go out there and do the best they can. But and in Hobson it was 3-0 up until this last week. But I get the vibe that they're in there because they want to prove that the family name is so going, or they want to prove to their family that they want to do this. And not everyone is a fighter. And I think that conversation needs to be had with them, because they're not only are they going in there if it was just a normal person, They're going in with like you said, the weight of the name on their shoulders.
They got a target on their back, man.
Yep, and everyone that fights him is gonna, no matter if they are good or not,
it's a championship fight for the guy across the way, man.
Every time. Yep.
Yeah.
You're the Super Bowl champ, and that team's always gonna come. You could be the team that's 0-16, and they're gonna come trying to fucking rip your head off. They probably rested all their starters the week before just to come in there and beat you. You know, and that's exactly what these fighters, they're running the extra 2 miles at night to fight a Gracie. You know, they're doing the extra 2 rounds on the mitts. They're sparring the extra round, you know, to get that extra round. And they're working their wall get-ups. They're doing extra thing. Everything is extra because of that last name of the person they're fighting. And it's a lot of pressure. Like, naming to me is, Kron is actually phenomenal, you know. But like you said, I agree with you. The two of them are just the two best Gracies that are the active fighters right now, you know. And I just don't want to see them go out. He got hit with some nasty elbows. He looked exhausted after the first round. You could tell, like, for me, I look at him, he's not a fighter. The reason why I say that is every moment he's overly friendly. He's a nice person, shaking hands, like, in between rounds, you know, like, you know, walking back with his arm. I need that killer instinct, man. I need that. We're not friends. Let me crush you first. He's just a good person, you know. And it's hard. I think you decipher between the two things. You can still be a good person and be a good fighter.
It's the whole thing. Take a look at his you know, eldest brother. Take a look at Henzo, and you know, Henzo's as good a guy. You know, how much are we talking about? As good a guy as you'll find, but inside the cage, he's a nasty bitch. He wants to kill you, you know, and you got to have that. You got to be able to turn it on.
Yeah.
You know?
Fighters are cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
You know, and then you turn the switch and they turn it on. That's kind of how it goes. But go ahead, John.
Cody Law fought Kenny Champion. Cody Law's going to be good, man. You know, it was funny because he's fighting Kenny Champion was fighting well in the stand-up game. Cody Law giving shots, taking shots, finally used the wrestling that he has, you know, wrestled at Penn State and then became a Division II champion. From the point that he decided to take the fight down, it was over.
Yeah.
You know, it went to the next round and stuff, but right away, take down. But it's the kind of things that he needed. You know, he didn't finish that. He finished the fight with only like 15, 16 seconds left in the third round. But that's a good fight for a young fighter like he is, to have those rounds and have a guy, and I'm going to give this to Kenny Champion. Dude, you are tough.
Yeah.
You know what? You have no quit in you. I will watch you anytime because, man, you were in some terrible positions, taking some big shots, and you never stopped. You never gave up. And you're going to make a guy like Cody Law someday be that championship guy because of the fights that you gave him. So nice job.
Yeah, I thought he fought well. Same thing with Grant Neal. Grant Neal has come a long way with just the amount of time that he's
looks
had.
So much better.
Yeah.
So much better. I loved his Bass Pro Shop with him.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
That's great.
The reason why I love it is because, like, when you win, right, and you get, like Chael says this all the time, when you win, you get the fucking mic, make something of it. Call somebody out. Say what you want. Yell at your sponsors. Tell them I want more money. You know, and like, look what fucking Brock Lesnar did. I ain't drinking Bud Light. I'm going to
drink I'm going to grab a Coors Light, grab my wife and do her.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's
jump on my wife.
When you get that mic, you got to make it well known. And so he went out there and did the best he could to get that sponsor. Hopefully he gets it. I like him. He's tough, man. Like I said, we talked a lot that night.
Strong as hell, man.
Yeah, he has that that running back, fullback body from a football. And
he does.
Exactly. He was a fullback apparently.
He got the Lorenzo Neal look.
Yes, he does. Maurice Jones-Drew and Lorenzo Neal. It's funny. He's just a powerhouse, throwing some heavy leather. Stayed a lot more composed in this fight. Didn't gas out. He actually pushed hard through the whole thing. He looked phenomenal, man. He looked absolutely phenomenal. So good on him.
The next one.
Jesus Christ,
dude!
If you guys haven't seen this fight, go to the Bellator page and look it up, or go to YouTube, whatever. Go to the Bellator website, check out this fight.
Shamil Nakaya versus Kemron Lashenoff, dude. That was a fucking fight, man. That was, just balls to the wall. I will watch Kemron fight anytime.
Yes.
That guy, first off, he's nuts.
Yep.
Second off, he's tough as hell. Third, he's really skilled. He's got a ton of skill, and he has got no quit in him. He puts his hands down, swings for the fences. He lost the first 2 rounds. His coaches told him, you lost the first 2 rounds because Nakaya had, he was putting it on him with technical skill. And Lashenoff goes out in the 3rd round, and Nakaya is dead. And Lashenoff is throwing everything he can to get him out of that fight. It didn't happen, but man, what an effort by both guys.
Phenomenal. The 3rd round was one of the most entertaining rounds I've seen ever. It was just funny to watch. It was fun to watch.
No one could lift their hands.
It was just
no defense.
When the hands are down and the guy's like just moving his head back and forth and just taking him on the chin the whole time and like trying to laugh about it because he knows he can't lift his hands up to block his face. It was great. What a freaking fight, man. It was so good. And I started laughing. I was like, man, because that was the main event of the prelims. And I was just thinking to myself, man, if you were watching this prelim fight, there's no doubt you're going to watch the main card. It was just awesome. Great fights. If you guys haven't got a chance to see that fight, you guys got to go to the Bellator website or the YouTube channel and check it out on there. It was phenomenal.
That was a rock'em sock'em yes. Stephan Bonner versus Forrest Griffin type fight.
It was good. My boy got his win.
Boy, he came through. He looked good.
Romero Cotton looked good. Well, he fought Justin Sumter, and what I told Romero was this, because I trained him a lot for this fight, just on the feet, nothing to do with, obviously I'm not going to teach him anything on wrestling. He can fucking wrestle. But the jiu-jitsu was on point. Ron Kessler from AKA did a good job with him. The thing with him on the feet is just staying relaxed, understanding that when the guy kicks, you don't need to overreact to try and catch it and just touch him and get in close for your body lock or your single leg or whatever you want to shoot. Yeah. What I liked was that I told him, I said, look, the only thing I need you to be in is fucking shape. Yep. You get in shape, your natural ability, because I was talking about on the broadcast, he is a natural fighter. He is somebody that he will get down. He will get down and he gets down in practice. Like some guys, they're not naturally a fighter. Like we were saying with Hobson, right? Just naturally, they're not a fighter, and they don't. Bob Cook and I talk, he's like one of the only natural fighters that we have at AKA right now. And so he looked good.
I don't know if you remember his first fight in Bellator. That was his first professional fight. You remember it?
Yes, I do.
It's against a guy named Aaron Rodriguez. Uh-huh. And he was exhausted. And Aaron Rodriguez was a good fighter. I mean, both of them, it was their pro debuts, but Rodriguez had a better submission game. And, Romero had the better wrestling, but every time Romero would take him down, he was getting put into trouble, and he was exhausted in that fight. And if he, again, you win, you learn. If he learned anything out of that was be in shape, because being exhausted is horrible.
Yep.
It hurts.
Well, so I trained with my boxing coach, Rick Noble, for a while, for, my last probably 10 fights or so. And a lot of it was in the beginning of the camp when I first started working with Romero. A lot of it was shoulder conditioning, back conditioning, leg conditioning, footwork conditioning. So by the time you got into the 4th and 5th week, you weren't getting exhausted by throwing, because your punch output in training should be 10 times more than what your punch output will be in the fight. Yep. And so I would just have him go and go and go. It was so funny because he's like, well, we don't do rounds? I'm like, no, I don't do rounds when I hold mitts. I just go until I see that you can't hold your shoulders up anymore, and then I go a little bit further, and then
I'll give you a minute rest.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So it's like, like when we first started working, he was only doing like 6-7 minutes with me, or 8 minutes, and he was so tired he couldn't keep his hands up. But
6-7 minutes. If people are not hitting mitts,
yes,
dude, your shoulders and arms. If they're really going, man, your shoulders and arms.
And I'm making them move. I'm making them work. Yeah. But then by the time we got into the end of week 2 into week 3, he was doing 10, 12-minute rounds. And then I moved him all the way up, and towards the end of camp, I was just doing like a 25-minute straight of just mitt holding. And sure, he was breathing heavy, and sure, he was taking little, like, kind of like, you take a couple extra breaths before he threw the combination. I'm like, hey, let's go. You got to push him a little more. But like, that was kind of the way that I was kind of taught by Rick Noble. And same thing with Javier. Like, we didn't really do rounds. It was until I realized you couldn't go anymore. I wasn't getting the same technique out of you, in the exhaustion, but you just got better and better and better. But you do the shoulder conditioning, the back conditioning, the leg conditioning with the footwork, the bands, all that stuff. And over time, he got better. I do rope drills, and all that stuff, different types of rope stuff to work all different parts of the back and the shoulder. And as the camp went on, I just realized he was in a lot better shape. And I kept telling him, as long as you're doing your running, all of this other shit will come easy. Because for young fighters, if you guys are at home listening to our show, the number one thing you need to do is be in shape, because your brain will process everything a lot easier and faster if you're in shape. If you're exhausted and your corner's telling you something, you don't fucking hear a word they say. It's no different than if you're in training, right? And your coach is holding mitts for you and you're so tired. You don't care. He says left hook and he's like dig to the body and you're like just missing the body and throwing the left hook. It looks like shit and you're exhausted. You don't even really hear him. Get in shape. Your first 2 to 3 weeks of training should be getting in shape. Muscle conditioning, leg conditioning, running, getting your lungs open. And then as you get better into the camp, you will absorb a lot more knowledge and it'll make it easier for you to become a better fighter. That was one of the biggest things that I think I learned from Bob Cook and Frank Shamrock and those guys and Javier was, as long as you're in shape, your brain will process a lot more. You'll become a more technical fighter because you'll be able to absorb all the knowledge they teach you. But good stuff.
I think everyone should know about Romero Cotton, though. Not just the fact that he's going to be a good fighter, all right? But he's gone through a whole lot in his life.
Yeah,
a whole lot. He's a pretty special guy because I have no problem with him. He went to jail for beating somebody up, and that person needed it. Just going to say it straight out. They needed it. They did something to his mom, and they needed it. And he paid the price for it, got his life back, went back to school, graduated. Romero Cotton is a dynamite individual.
Yeah, he is.
So he's someone you can get behind. He's
just fun. He's like, our workouts are fun, man. He's a good guy. He's just pleasant to be around. He's a workhorse. He sets the times. Not that I need to be chased after to work with him, but someone that just says, hey, man, we on today, coach? It's like 5 o'clock. Okay, be there,
Nope.
And you got to appreciate that. He's always on time. He always shows up right on time. I like to be a little bit early, a minute or two early. He always shows up right on time, but at least he's on time. He comes ready to work out and comes to train hard. So I appreciate that out of him. Great job, great performance. On to the next one. He was on the main card tonight, which is great for him. So good stuff. Linton Vasel versus Ronnie Marks. I called it, man. Whoever ended up on top was going to win this fight.
You did call that.
Thank you. I want to blow myself up a little bit.
It was, we looked at it and it's like, but on top, Linton is every person I've ever seen. And it was really, Neil Melanson was the guy that really started in with me telling me, hey, I'm telling you, this guy on top is a beast. He's hard to move. He's got great base and balance. He hits hard, strong as an ox. And it was one of the funny things because Ronnie Marks, he says, I don't think he's that strong. And I was like, did you get a picture of somebody else? Because Linton Vasel looks like he's a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a monster. He looks like, he looks like Uberim. He is just freaking put together, and everybody that's ever gone with him says, man, he's so strong. But he looked great. It was just quicker in getting into the top position from the scrambles. It was Ronnie that was initiating the takedowns. He would actually, on one of them, he actually had it.
Yeah.
And lost it off of not being quick on the scramble. And Linton just physically dominated him, hurt him, mounts him. It was a great performance for Linton. That's 2 big, heavyweight wins in a row because he went from the light heavyweights. So he can do some things at heavyweight. He's still going to have that. He's got to get past the guys that are the really good wrestlers.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Gian in person, Linton Vasel is like a smaller version of Gian. like Gian is he's enormous, man. He's like
just a freaking monster.
275, like almost the Hulk. He's just a Filipino Hulk. Just ripped, just shredded.
Everyone knows that Filipinos are probably some of the biggest human beings on earth.
Yeah, they're definitely the biggest. This one right here is the biggest.
Just quite the opposite.
Yeah, he's got muscle. He's got muscles on muscles. This guy Gian. No, like absolutely. Like, it really came down to the fact that he was out hustling Ronnie Marks. I don't understand. Here's the one thing. Ronnie Marks had success on the stand-up with the leg kicks.
Yeah.
He had knocked, like kind of wobbled Linton Vasel in the very first round. I'm like, if you're having that type of success, he should have stayed with it. I know you don't want to stand too much with Linton Vasel, but like he looked like he was the faster fighter on the feet of the two. And now I don't know if he had the condition to go all 3 rounds on the feet, but he was forcing the clinch and the takedowns, and he didn't need to. I felt like because he was landing some good stuff in the stand-up. He should have kept playing with it until the takedown opened up. But he forced
I agree with you. I thought his stand-up, he was looking really good. And you got to figure, look at Ronnie's when he's been training at Extreme Couture, and the guys that he's been sparring with, if you're not used to getting hit hard by sparring with Francis Ngannou, then you need to leave the sport. He's being hit by guys that can hit as hard as anyone, if not harder. Tim Johnson's been doing really good, and he's got Ray Sua as a coach there and stuff. So, I mean, just incredible. Did I say Ray Sua?
Yes, Ray Sefu. Sua.
Ray Sua was a friend of mine
okay.
who used to be a kickboxer. So that's why I was like, yeah, Ray Sefo, excuse me. Yeah, but I mean, he's got good coaching. He's got Eric Nipsick there too. He was doing really good in the stand-up, and it was almost one of those ones you're going, don't try to take this fight to the ground.
Don't force it.
But
like he forced the takedown so much, the takedowns he ended up forcing him so much, he put himself in a bad position both times.
Yep.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I
you
agree.
didn't do that. And so it ended up costing him the fight. Once he got on bottom, he couldn't get up. Fucking Linton Vasel's big ass was on top of you. Just
too big, too strong.
Too strong.
Yep.
Okay, so before we talk about this next fight, I'm going to go ahead and say mybookie.ag, mybookie.com. Hit the promo code Weighing In, and they will give you 50% more on your initial deposit. So if you deposit $500, they will give you $250. If you do $1,000, they will give you another $500. It's only good up to $1,000, and use the promo code Weighing In. And we thank you guys. Go ahead and go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code Weighing In. All right, so look, the most expected, I think, anticipated fight, I should say, of the night was to see Magomedov.
At least for us.
At least, yeah, it was for us. There was a lot of talk about it, though, as well. Getting him over. He was the champion, bantamweight champion at 135 over at ACB, and he's making his Bellator debut. He's the only guy that has a win over Peter Yan, who's the UFC champion at bantamweight there. This kid is absolutely phenomenal, and he lived up to every expectation there was. And he fought Mathesis Matos, and Matos is fucking really good. He just had no answer for what Magomedov had.
He had no idea how to undo Velcro.
Yeah.
Because he got Velcroed.
Yeah.
When Magomedov got a hold of him, he did everything he could to break the grips, to get in better positions. Just could not get Magomedov. And, Matos came in there. I think he was listed at 5'5", 5'6". He was 5'3" at the end of that fight from the suplexes on top of the head. Dude, that one was awesome.
Yeah.
That one hurt. But I'll tell you what, Matos, he's super strong, super fast. He's super athletic. He's going to be trouble for everybody. He just needs to figure out, because he's going to end up fighting Magomedov again somewhere along the way. He's going to have to figure out how to stop what Magomedov does, because he's just good everywhere.
I don't know. These guys have not figured out Khabib. How the hell? Like, this guy is like very similar.
He's a smaller Khabib.
Yeah, he's a smaller Khabib. The way he dominated the position the whole time, I was like, wow, this isn't crazy. Although, if you guys watch the first 10 seconds of this fight, you're thinking, oh shit, Matos has got the win. He's got the win because he had the back, remember?
Yeah.
Magomedov shot a single leg. Matos swung behind and got to the rear naked, just didn't have the other hook in. He wasn't able to get him over, but that choke was tight. And Magomed, he was able to kind of finally weasel out, but his face turned red, and that shit was in deep for a second. It was under the chin as well. I was like, oh man, if he gets him right now, how fucking crazy would this be? Insane. But then he got out of it. The rest of the fight was history, man. He systematically dismantled Matos the whole fight. Everything he did.
A really good fighter.
You know what though? Let me just tell you the fight that I want to see: Patchy Mix and Magomedov.
Ooh.
I'm talking submission wise, boy, and the size and the length and the reach and the transitions and that first 3 rounds is gonna be that first 2 rounds, 3 rounds, just Patchy Mix can be all over him. He cannot make one mistake. I don't know if Patchy can be able to. If Patchy gets to a position that Matos was in, he's finishing that.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. That one little mistake would have
That's
cost him the fight
yeah.
quick. And as the fight goes on, it's going to be harder for Patchy to get to it, obviously.
Of course.
But just that, I think in that first round and a half is going to be very dangerous for Magomedov. That's a good fight to put on.
Just now, with what has been signed, the 135-pound, division, the bantamweights in Bellator, they're good now.
They're the best in the world.
Holy shit!
I'm not saying all of them are,
ones.
but I'm saying if we were to put that bracket against ones in the UFCs, I would say that we'd probably win 60 to 7% of the fights. They're good. Don't get me wrong. The guys in the UFC are phenomenal. The talent that we've just recently signed and the ones that we have also with Juan and with Patchy and Pettis and those guys, like we've got like Pettis coming into his own now, knowing that he's going to stay at 135. I think there's a lot of guys in that division right now that can do some work. So it's going to be fun. I know. If Coker does do a 135-pound World Grand Prix tournament, I'm like, hello. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. The main event.
Talk to me.
I think Ilima-Lei MacFarlane, we didn't see the best of her.
I don't think so either.
And I think if we were to see the best of her, it would have been a closer fight. It was still a close fight, but it wasn't as close as the cards made it out to be. I thought, there was never Ilima. She did some good stuff in the fourth and the fifth. The fifth round was extremely close, even though the judges gave it to her, I think. And two judges did, one judge didn't. Correct?
No, one judge gave her the fifth.
I thought two judges did. One gave her I think it was two judges gave her the fifth.
Okay, maybe they did.
Yeah, and then the other judge had. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, Ilima-Lei felt like in the beginning that she didn't believe in herself, which is strange because she seems like a very confident person in herself. In this fight, I didn't get the same feeling. Now I don't know if it's because she didn't fight in Hawaii or she didn't have the crowd. I feel like her best performances are when she's fighting in her home state in Hawaii and the crowd is behind her. She feeds off the energy. When she fought her first fight against Valerie Letourneau.
You got it?
Yeah. I want to say Lorena. God, I hate the fact that we have two girls that with like a similar last name and the same first name. Anyways, she came out crying after they did the walkouts. And I'm like, this is not good.
Well, that's not good.
That's not good. And she went out there and had the performance of her life.
Yep.
And I'm like, she feeds off this shit. She's a fucking stone cold killer. This girl can do it. This fight didn't have that feel. The week we did the fighter interviews, we did the vibe, the feeling, the comments in the media that she had talked about. It just didn't feel like in the COVID situation, she had struggled with all that. Liz Carmouche is not training with her anymore. Liz Carmouche would have been a perfect training partner for her for this fight. And it just wasn't there. It wasn't there. She started late. She didn't really get anything going until the fourth. She almost felt like she didn't believe in herself, John.
No, there was the lunging attacks. She was offensively, trying to run herself into that. It looked like someone that wasn't confident in being able to slide their feet the right way, to give themselves power and to cut an angle and to do things the way you'd want to see someone do it in the stand-up. I honestly think, it's like anything. I always say it's always tough to be the champion because you've got that target on your back and everyone's shooting at the target. And then, it's, you don't get that. You don't get that where you have that target. That's someone I want to fight. Very rarely, because everything is put towards you based upon who's winning and stuff. And it could be someone you like, it could be someone you dislike and you might want to fight them and stuff, but it's tough to be the champ. Now, there's a lot of good things that come with being the champ. There's a ton of good things, but eventually you start to forget those things and say, you know what? Yeah. I'm tired of the commitments. I'm tired of everyone, wanting, saying things about me. And I'm tired of having to be the face of the promotion to a point because I'm one of the champions and go through these things. It can get old. And I think eventually you start to lose just that little edge that tells you, you know what? I need to go out and perform. I need to go out and do this. Now, I think when Ilima-Lei was in Hawaii, she didn't have a choice. That was she could not fail in front of her state, in front of her people that she grew up around. It just wasn't even a thought. But once she got past that, and then there was COVID and there's no fans, I think in the end she almost had put it in her head. It's okay. If I lose, it's okay. And that's there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
But to believe it, now as the fighter, you don't believe that it's okay.
Yeah.
You got to believe that, hey, I got to go out there and bury this person. I got to do whatever it takes to come out on top. And if I want to stop fighting after that, great. But it's not okay.
Yeah, I think COVID really changed her perspective on things.
It might have.
I think
might
it
have
did
been that.
because she was not around like the daily regimen of going to the gym, training, being around friends, having fun training. When you go there now, there's like only 1 or 2 people or 3 or 4 people, and she said basically up until like July, she had not stepped into the gym. So from March to July, she was just at her house, not really doing a whole lot. And so
yeah, she said she went up to 162 pounds.
That's fighting at 125.
Fighting at 125.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah,
A lot of weight she put on there.
When you show up in July and you're struggling trying to get through rounds, and then your confidence starts to die from there because you're getting beat up by people probably, or not even so much getting beat up, but the people you were smashing before,
you're struggling.
Now you're struggling with, and that's not a fair take on who you are as a fighter. But mentally, it fucks with you.
No,
you know?
but it's one of the things that we talk about all the time is, fighters today are different than fighters of the past. Football players of today are different than football players of the past. People are training all the time. You're a professional, and you can't give up those 5-6 months of, I'm just not going to do anything. That's 5 or 6 months that someone is gaining on you.
Yeah.
If you're doing nothing, you're going backwards.
Yep.
They're gaining. You've got, you can't have those times. And yeah, with the COVID, it was weird and stuff, but you still, I know that she put together a gym in her garage and stuff. And how many fighters do you know have done that?
Yeah.
A bunch. And that's the right thing to do, but you got to use it.
That's the hard part.
It
You
is.
go out there, your garage garage isn't always heated, or it's not always air conditioned, and you're thinking to yourself, this sucks. And you have to have a friend that comes over and wants to train too, as hard as you want to train.
And that's part of the problem is, the gym itself for fighters, that's part of the whole thing of being the fighter. It's that camaraderie that you have with those people in that gym that are the fighters that you all train together and stuff. That's what you live for. That's the fun part, and when it's gone, training is just like, I've done this before.
But it's also like when you walk into a gym, you're turning on that switch saying it's work time. It's time to go to work. Yeah. When you walk out, okay, work's done. It's that feeling, even though the camaraderie's there with the people and everything like that, but then all those other people are on the same page with you. It's like you want to surround yourself with people that have the same goals. And then those people aren't there anymore, and you're in there with people that just want to be in there because they want to be there with training with you, but they're not really the fighters that you need to get better, or the people that the iron sharpen iron thing. Those aren't there. They aren't there. They're at home with, being safe, not getting ready for a fight. And so I got a little bit of that vibe from her, is that things had changed during that off time from COVID, not just because there was no one to train with, but one of her main training partners used to be Liz Carmouche, and they had talked about, since she signed with Bellator, that she pretty much wouldn't train. They really wouldn't train a whole lot together anymore. They still see each other.
That.
Yeah, but they still see each other. But you're losing somebody who could have helped you a lot in this fight. And that's a shitty situation to be in. Yeah. It's like, damn it, Liz, could you have not waited till after this fight? But so it was kind of that feeling and that vibe. I got a little bit of that from her. And I think another thing as well is that she let it, like, the fight is done, and then moving forward, she'll have to get that fire back. And I think this is like that load off her. She was undefeated. She'd been the champion basically for the last 5 fights?
Yeah.
5
This
fights.
was her fifth fight as champion.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that load's been lifted off. I have nothing now. Now I can just go to the gym, train, and every time I step in the cage, just do what I got to do. Nothing. There's no pressure on me anymore. Okay. Not every time I jump in training and sparring, I got to spar 5 rounds, 3 rounds. The pressure's off. I've already gone 5 rounds a bunch of times. I know what I'm doing. I got this. You know what I mean? It's that 5, that confidence. And I think the pressure's off. Let's see what happens.
I think the pressure's off, but you know what? The fire can come back real fast.
I think it will.
And I honestly think Ilima-Lei has got that fire.
Yeah.
She's that personality. You know, she's a sweetheart of a girl, but she's got a fiery personality. And I think she's going to look back and go, you know what? I could have won that fight.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I let someone get a win against me that I could have kept that from happening.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go prove to that person that, yeah, I could beat you. And I think that's what'll happen. But it was a good fight. You know, it was it was funny. We got the tweet. Josh Gross, who has been an MMA reporter for a long time, he's sitting there saying stuff about the fight. You know, I was completely wrong in the scoring of the fight, but I don't think I was, because I was right with the judges.
All right. So what was some other news that we could talk about real quick?
Dana White throwing shade at Bellator. He says that there are other much better promotions all over the world.
Okay. Dana is a little upset that Anthony Johnson decided to go with us.
No, Dana made him go with us.
Oh, that's what he said.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard too. I heard that he suggested that, you know, but this is the other thing. This goes right back to what we were talking about with the older fighters being let go. AJ requests a big dollar amount.
Yes.
You're not going to get it from them right now. They don't want to give it to him. He's 30. He is 36, I think now.
Yep.
No, we're not going to do it.
Yep.
So that just adds to the fact that now we have Corey Anderson. We've got AJ. We've got Nemkov. We've got, you know, whoever else is in that division, man. It's gonna be fun to watch. Phil Davis,
and Gleekus,
and Gleekus,
and you got two other guys that were just signed that are killers. So it's a tough division.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
a lot
fun.
of good fights.
As far as him throwing shade, that's his job. He's the
okay. That's the whole thing. It's like it cracks me up when people say, "Well, Dana said." Dana's the promoter of the UFC. That is the biggest promotion. And anytime that he can sit there and say something that he think will do a dig towards a competitor, he's going to do it. And that's his job. Does it bother me? No. It's the same. How many times has Dana White been caught in lies? You know, how many do you want? But everyone's like, well, Dana said it. He lies a lot. Okay, that's kind of his job.
No, here's the thing. I think that this last 4 months or whatever, Bellator's been putting on good cards with young talent. And the media is now starting to realize that we've gotten away from the old people fights. We've developed our own young talent with good fights, and they're seeing a rise in the younger talent in our promotion in Bellator. And so the media is now asking him things like this. And I think he's realizing the same thing that they are realizing, that there are good fighters in the Bellator as well as in ONE and other promotions. And they're bringing it up to him. Like, hey, what's going on?
But Josh, there are good fighters. And I've said this for how long?
Everywhere.
And I can name promotions, you know, that have really good fighters. You know, it's that they're all over. You know, the UFC has some good fighters. They have some fighters that are really not that good.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's okay. I understand why they have some of them. And so I'm not going to sit here and start naming people, but KSW, it's got some really shitty fighters and some really good fighters. Mm-hmm. Cage Warriors puts on some fights with some really good fighters. ONE puts on fight. ACA. I mean, there's so many good fights out there. Brave puts on good fights. You know, there's a ton of promotions, and there's a ton of good fighters.
We just got from the LFA. Is it RFA? It's LFA.
No, LFA. LFA. You got to figure LFA is, you know, by Eddie Suarez.
Excuse me.
And Eddie Soares has done a great job. It used to be Mick Maynard they put the two RFA, LFA together, kind of renamed it. But the LFA is a great feeder, and the UFC uses them as a feeder towards them. We got Jaleel Willis,
That's what I
who
was
had
gonna
a
say.
great fight,
He
and
looked
we've
phenomenal.
had he's good, and there's a ton more, and all these young guys out there, they're good. There's some killers out there, and the LFA puts on really good fights. They put them on between guys that they know we're not going to be able to keep this guy. This guy's going to go to a higher level. They're going to go to a Bellator. They're going to go to a UFC, and they're happy to be that feeder program that's basically highlights the up and coming talent. And
I agree.
they've got some great fights.
Yeah, they got some good. Jaleel Willis is phenomenal. I mean,
He's good.
He's somebody that can fight at 55 and he can fight at 70. I mean,
he should stay at 70.
You think so?
Yep, I do. I think he's got to lose too much weight to get to
I want to see that Patricky fight though.
now after you watched him, because I told you,
Yeah.
I said, hey man, let me tell you something. This is a fight. Jaleel can fight. Now you saw him at 170, you go, yep, he can fight.
I want to know how the hell he makes 155. He's fucking enormous.
I told you. That's why I said I don't think it's a good weight class for him. He's got to lose too much.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked phenomenal. Give me something else.
Islam versus Drew Dober targeted for UFC
Yeah,
59.
I saw that.
I'm a little disappointed, but I mean, I think it's a good fight. I I'm just a little. I want a bigger name. That's all. I'm a little disappointed. I want to see him fight a Kevin Lee or pull up the weight classes again for me. The 155 UFC.
Islam's going to look huge against Drew.
He is, but Drew is a gamer and someone that just rushes in and can get after it.
Drew's got super heavy legs, big heavy leg kicks. He's got good. His wrestling is good. It's not at Islam's level.
Yeah,
just different. He's got really good stand up. He's a tough dude. It's just I look at that and it's like Islam actually at this point should be fighting. I look at it this way. It's a great name for Drew Dober to try to get a win against.
Yeah, it is.
It's not for Islam in reverse.
That's what it kind of surprises me. That's why the objective was to get him up higher.
You would have thought.
Rankings, you would think, right? But I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. I thought I knew, but I don't know. So I just know that they are all coming out to Vegas in January. So we'll see. I'm supposed to go out there and meet up with them in Vegas in January. I think probably for the Conor fight, they'll be out there. Anyways.
Conor fights in Abu Dhabi.
Sorry. Abu Dhabi. whatever fight. They're going to Vegas in January for some reason. Anyways, we'll figure it out. That's right. It is in Abu Dhabi, huh?
Yeah.
They're talking about having fans, by the way.
Yes, they are.
They're talking about having fans.
Well, the United Arab Emirates has been giving vaccines. In fact, people that have been getting them.
Javier Mendez. He's got 2 doses of it.
2 doses. He's COVID free.
You're fucking crazy.
Well, it's if they can do it, great. And again, that's what, when the UFC is looking at having Conor on a card, they need to have butts in the seats because it helps pay for Conor to fight.
They need to have sheiks in the seat to help pay for Conor's fight.
It's okay to have sheiks in the seats.
Yeah, I just
Not bad.
Yeah, Javier getting the vaccine, he got it twice. I was like,
You're supposed to get it twice.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't know, man.
He's just ahead of schedule from
He's
me.
gonna have a third eye growing here pretty soon.
It's when the horn starts coming out. Yeah, not
Look,
good.
I may get it down the road, but I ain't getting it for at least for the first 10 batches that come out. Like it's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit.
Give it to everybody else first.
Yeah. Let me see how it all turns out first. I read something.
You don't like being a lab rat?
No, I read something that in Australia they had a couple batches of them, whatever, came out giving false positives for HIV. There was a New York Times article on it talking about how people were getting false positive tests for HIV from taking the vaccine. I mean, at least it's false positive. That's a little scary, man, when you start thinking about shit like that.
Well, it's a lot to explain.
Yeah, it is.
That's the problem.
Give me something else.
My twin brother, Paulo Costa versus Whitaker, targeted for March.
My twin brother. Holy shit. That's funny. He wants to fight what?
Whitaker, targeted for March.
Oh, him and Whitaker for March. Yeah, good fight. Good fight. Whitaker's good.
Whitaker's looked really good.
Technically, they haven't fought yet, obviously. No.
No, Whitaker's last fight was against Jared Cannonier, and before that it was Darren Till.
Yeah. I think I don't know if Paulo Costa shows up like he did against Izzy. Not a good situation. But I think Whitaker's good. He's just technically he's pretty good. He's very sound. He's really coming to his own in terms of his confidence and doing what he does well. He does well at stuffing takedowns and just getting in your grill and making you fight.
He's a stud.
How do you think that fight goes?
If they fought right now, Whitaker.
I have to agree. Coming off a loss too for Paulo, so it's his first loss too. So let's see how he reacts to losing. That might be a load off of his shoulders as well. And then, he's always fought reckless though up until his last fight. 0 fucks. Got something else?
Vitor Belfort opened a fight Yoel Romero in 1FC.
Don't care.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. No one wants to, not that no one wants to see it, but I don't think that's a good fight for him either though. Like Yoel was 44, but like John said, he's 32. He's Vitor, he's 40 something, but he's probably like 55. That's the thing. Like his body is not held up at all. He just physically does not look like. Maybe he'll be a little bit more sciencely induced, but it's just not.
Oh, what do you mean? Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on.
So, but then again, if
it'll be TRT Vitor.
Yeah, but if you may see Yoel over there being TRT too, then
Yoel's never had to do it.
I know he doesn't have to.
He's a genetic freak, man.
He doesn't. I know he doesn't have to. I'm saying he doesn't have to. But if he did, can you imagine how much fucking?
Oh
more?
my god!
Jeez,
He would turn green.
Yeah.
Hulk out.
Anything else? John's getting tired. Let's wrap this up.
Wait, hold it. Let's see.
It's 3:30.
3:32, baby.
3:32 in the morning on the East Coast. And let's go, John. Hurry up. One more.
Right, John Jones plans to shoot double legs against quote unquote intimidating heavyweights.
Of course. He'd be stupid not to.
You think he wants to get into a slugging match with a Francis Ngannou?
As much as I like to rag on John's got a very high fight IQ. He's a very smart fighter.
Not only really high, one of the best.
Yes.
Let's just be honest.
Yep.
The guy understands how to fight. He understands exactly what he needs to do. He changes on the fly really well.
He's tough as nails too. Like there's no quitting.
Fucking A, he's tough, man.
The fights that he's been in where it's been a knockdown drag out, like with Gus, there was never a moment where he was like thinking about giving up. The look on his face was never like, and he also the fights where he was out doing coke 2 days before, a week before, whatever. He still went in there and fucking fought his ass off. Can you imagine how good? Like he's like to think you were partying 3 weeks before the fight, and still went out there and put on a fucking performance like the way he did.
Pisses you off, doesn't it?
Come on, it does. It does. 'Cause I actually had to really get after it to be anywhere near as good. What? Give me a list of what you have left.
Triple C calling out Jake Paul.
No, don't care. Next one.
Oh my god.
Vittori calling out Darren Till.
That's gonna be a good fight if it does happen, but we'll talk about it when it happens, if it ever does. Next one.
Vittori says he will be Adesanya's nightmare until the day he retires.
Not true. Next one. Vittori.
Who said that?
Vittori.
Oh.
He's good. Vittori's good.
About nightmare.
No, Vittori's good, but let's see you fight Paulo Costa, or let's see you fight Whitaker first, and then we'll come have this conversation.
Well, he already fought Adesanya.
Oh, Vittori did?
Yeah. It was a split decision.
His first fight in the UFC, right?
I don't know if it was his first fight in the UFC, but it was close.
Yeah. He's a different fighter now.
You think?
So is Vittori, though. Vittori.
Vittori looked great.
Yeah.
In that fight. I'm not saying Adesanya. I'm saying his last fight here against Hermanson. He looked great. That was a great effort. But Izzy's gotten way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah. Just
take a lot
got
to
way
beat
more confidence in on the feet, stuff in the takedowns, all that stuff.
Yep.
What else?
Francis Ngannou is struggling to stay motivated during long.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame it either. He's been getting fucking run through. Poor
He's
guy.
been getting fucked.
Yeah. They're just eating up his fucking prime right now.
Yep.
That's what's holding up the fucking heavyweight division. This was my complaint for the longest time. DC held it up for a little bit. Stipe held it up for a little bit. They've been fucking him. And I feel bad because it's like I understand why DC did it because he wanted the Brock fight. I understand why Stipe did it. Stipe did it because of his eye, and trying to get healthy for the next fight with DC. Shit thing is, the poor guy who was the most exciting heavyweight in the division's fucking been sitting on the sideline.
Yep.
So it's shitty because he's 30, I think 31 or 30 years old now, or 31, I think. And
he's more than that.
this is his prime. This is his
What's his
prime
age?
years.
What's his age now?
Can you look up his age?
Whose age?
Did you not hear any of that?
No, I was looking
my
for
God.
Ngannou.
Oh, Ngannou.
Jesus, man.
Let me see.
Dave cannot get back soon enough. I never thought I'd say it. Come on, Gian, get it together.
He's
funny.
34.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There's no way he's 34.
Jeez,
Yes,
man.
he is. That's what I
Jeez.
thought. That's when he said that. I said, no.
Wow, I thought he was 31. Damn.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we're going to wrap this up. Go to mybookie.ag or mybookie.com. Use the promo code WeighingIn, and they will give you 50% of your initial deposit for the first time, all the way up to $1,000. You deposit
I want you to think about this. I'm going to go through stuff. Charles Oliveira was the underdog
Wow.
against Tony Ferguson. So you would have won money there. Freaking Moreno, you wouldn't have won anything, or Figueiredo, because it became a draw unless you called the draw. And if you go to the Bellator show, I think that they definitely had Magomedov as the favorite, and they had Velasquez as the favorite over the champ in Ilima-Lei MacFarlane. So they were calling him pretty good.
Yeah, I don't like that they're starting to call the Bellator fights better.
I know, man. It's hard for me to bet on it.
It wouldn't matter. I lost. I lost all my money last week. I fucking bet it all. I lost the house.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I'll give
Also,
you more money.
Go to pro wrestling. Go to prowrestlingtees.com /weighingin. Use the promo code FIGHT. Get a 20% off on the shirts. We have a bunch of new shirts up. Well, actually, one more new shirt up. But we got a bunch of different colors up as well. So go ahead and hit those up. The logo tee, the new Terminator one as well. We've got the Karate Kid one. John is the Mr. Miyagi, and of course I am the.
Why am I the old guy?
Because you are the old guy.
Because I'm the old guy.
Yeah,
Got
old
it.
guy.
I get it.
So use the promo code FIGHT, get another 20% off until New Year's. So hey, hopefully you guys enjoy the show. It is 3:30 in the morning for John, so I want you guys to appreciate the fact that he is still awake.
That's because I'm the OFG, baby. The old fucking guy.
He is the old fucking guy. And Gian for being up until 12:30. It's been past his bedtime since like
God bless you,
8
Gian.
o'clock. I'm surprised your mom lets you out of the house this late. And I want you guys to understand that we appreciate you guys and continue to share our videos. Also, go to our audio platforms. We're everywhere on the audio platforms: Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, all those things. Okay, iTunes. Hit the subscribe button as well on there, as well as the YouTube. And hit the thumbs up. That shares our videos. So you'll see more of our videos distributed out. Like you see the DC and Ariel and all the other shows that people want to try to compete with us. We know we're the best MMA podcast. John knows we are. You guys know we are. Please share our videos. We like to brag about the fact that you guys share our videos and pisses all those other ones off. So we love that you guys support us, and thank you for all the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the Packy Chip Challenge. And if you guys haven't seen it, go and check out that video and share that video so you guys can all make fun of me. Okay,
And
it was fun.
if you have something that you think would be a good challenge for Josh and I, tell us. If it's a real good one, we'll do it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that.
All right, everyone.
All right, well, John usually has one more thing to say.
The last thing I have to say is, see you later.